And from Diner Classics, Milo's Meatloaf Pate wet dog food. Customers who have them urged to return the affected foods to a retailer. I'm Sue Guzman. This is Fox News.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like rugs. People say a rug would really bring the room together. And sure, you don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Suddenly you're using words like jute and sisal. Then you see the price and lose it, because how can the thing you walk and spill on cost so much? So you devote your life to taking down Big Rug. But then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds. So, looks like Big Rug is safe. For now. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
We're living in a time when anti-Semitism is rising. Hostility toward Israel is growing, and Jewish people are facing hatred and contempt. As Christians, we can't let culture determine our response. We need to let Scripture determine our response. The Bible reminds us that God is faithful, and when God makes a covenant, He keeps it. His promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob still matter today. That's why I'm proud to support the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. For more than 40 years, the fellowship has united Christians and Jews to care for Israel's most vulnerable people, providing food, medicine, shelter, security, and assistance. As believers, we're called to stand against hatred, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and remember that we're part of one redemptive story, rooted in the faithfulness of God. As Esther 4:14 reminds us, we have come to this moment for such a time as this. Discover how you can get involved with the fellowship at standwithifcj.org. That's standwithifcj.org.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
It's time to get everything you need for the job from one partner. No more juggling vendors. We've got your entire job supply covered. Supply the entire job with job lot quantities of everything you need, from flooring to roofing, with access to thousands of products not available in stores. More products mean more colors, sizes, and finishes, so you can get exactly what you need to get the job done. Learn more at the Pro Desk, the Home Depot Pro. It's about time.
When you're vacationing in your RV, there are some things you can always count on. Waking up to a beautiful view, card games at the breakfast table, and building a campfire with Dad.
All right, hand me that piece of wood. Not that one. I don't like the looks of that. No. No.
With Progressive, your RV is protected 24/7, so you're prepared for whatever you don't see coming. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in D.C.
Alex Marlowe does see something good coming out of New York.
Luigi Mangione pled guilty, admitting to stalking and killing Brian Thompson, planning it all out, premeditated murder. The biggest thing about this is the relief that we should all feel that this case, which became a cause celeb online for leftists, does not get turned over to a jury in New York. New York courts cannot be trusted.
The Alex Marlowe Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's August 24th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Waffle Day. The contemporary waffles we love originated in France and Belgium. The first frozen waffles created by three brothers in San Jose, California, debuted in 1953, selling in supermarkets as Froffles. On this day in 2020, the Republican convention begins by formally renominating Donald Trump for a second presidential term.
4 more years! Now, if you want to really drive him crazy, you say 12 more years.
Way back in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius in southern Italy erupts after being silent for centuries, killing thousands and burying the Roman city of Pompeii. The first documented case of a person being reinfected with COVID-19 a second time, a Hong Kong man 4 months after his first infection in 2020. Legendary wide receiver Jerry Rice retires in 2006 from the National Football League. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Your sales team should look as sharp as your showroom. Your Wearable Words embroiders polos and hats with your dealership or company logo. Fast turnaround, no minimum order, now run around. 50 shirts, 100 hats. It doesn't matter. Their machines are ready to go, cranking out quality embroidery and heat transfers overnight. Your Wearable Words, serving dealerships and sales organizations all over the Midwest. Order your logo apparel today at yourwearablewords.com.
Are you slumpy?
Slumpy?
It's a made-up word to describe someone who's grumpy from a bad night of sleep.
Clever.
But Penny Mustard has discovered the cure for severe slumpiness.
Let me guess. A nightly dose of a double-sided hybrid mattress.
Made in Wisconsin.
And built to last 45% longer than the average unflippable model.
Ask your doctor about Penny Mustard. Hopefully they bought their mattress here too, because who wants a slumpy doctor?
Find a showroom near you at pennymustard.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
And now it's time for the Cat's Corner.
This is John Catsimatidis with the Cat's Corner. Border battles. A country without borders is not a country. I was vice chairman of the Ellis Island Foundation. Bill Fugazi was chairman. Lee Iacocca was honorary chairman. The Ellis Island, well, we wanted immigrants. We want immigrants. But checks and balances. We want immigrants that are going to come to America and they want to work 80 hours a week, just like my father, my grandfathers did when they came to America. We don't want migrants. So let's change the name. There's immigrants that want to come here and pledge allegiance to America, or migrants that want to take advantage of America. We want America to succeed. Immigrants, yes. Migrants, no. That is today's Cat's Corner. I'm John Catsimatidis.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Dealer's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrattosF.com. That's DeGrattosF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson,
on AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. It is Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and the listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
The law group you know and trust, Naumann & Associates, is expanding into commercial litigation. When disputes can't be resolved, get the strategic guidance from a litigation lawyer who will fight for your rights. Attorney Richard Cannon brings both strong courtroom and dispute settlement skills. We believe most cases can be resolved without costly courtroom battles, but we prepare as if a trial is possible. When your company needs to stand its ground, contact Naumann & Associates in Elk Grove Village. For a consultation, visit nalawgroup.com.
Hey Chicagoland, Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. The military taught me that every mission is different. You assess the situation, listen to your team, then execute a plan built around what's needed. Same with helping families sell their homes. Whether it's an inherited house, a parent needing senior living, or life's just taking you in a new direction, we don't show up with a one-size-fits-all answer. We start by listening. What's your timeline? What are you worried about? What would make this easier? Then we build a solution around your needs. No repairs or clean out are necessary. You pick the timeline that works for you, keep your memories, and we handle everything else. Since 2007, our veteran-led team has earned hundreds of 5-star reviews by doing exactly that, listening first, and treating every family with respect. If you're ready for a no-obligation conversation, call us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or jeffbuysyourhouse.com. That's jeffbuysyourhouse.com.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency, and clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talked to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks, security under your control.
All right, I'm so excited I can golf on our golf outing. And the reason why I can golf is because of Virago. Yes, I even called Dr. Huber the other day and said, I don't know what's going on. I've had shoulder pain for a year. I did not want to have surgery. Don't have time for downtime at all. So I called Dr. Huber and said, what's going on here? This is the only thing I've been doing different. And he said that Virago is an anti-inflammatory. So a lot of pain is associated with inflammation. So swelling's gone. I could use my shoulder again, and I will be golfing. But here's what you do. Virago is so much more than an anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant. It has nutrichemicals working together in synergy. And it even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, folks, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix my Virago in with my orange juice. You can put it in smoothies, and you will feel the difference. Trust me. So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myVirogo.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
It's peaceful here. Quiet. But it wasn't always. Here, the past isn't confined to textbooks or museums. It's in the soil, a pulse within the earth. Here, you can walk in step with history, where others once marched towards the unknown. The past is never really behind us. It's here, under our feet. The land never forgets the stride of the weary or the reach of the hopeful. The land remembers. And so does the American Battlefield Trust, dedicated to preserving America's hallowed battlegrounds. Now, on our nation's 250th birthday, become a member so the next acre becomes the next chapter. The next chapter becomes the next lesson. Join the trust. Protect the future. Go to battlefields.org.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. The most amazing development on the American political landscape right now is the emergence of socialism. Yeah, I said it. Socialism. Just recently, CBS News launched a major investigative study looking into political support for socialism. Among the key takeaways are the fact that among those who identify as Democrats, 58% have a positive view of socialism. Only 32% of Democrats said they had a positive view of capitalism. It gets worse. Among respondents with a college degree, an even higher 71% say they have a positive view of socialism. The most obvious influence over these students is leftist professors teaching leftist ideologies. The culture of elite education is teaching university students wrong lessons about the economy, and it's doing so in so many different ways. Students' increasing support for socialism shows it, as do the polls. It's a seismic development when you think about the future of civilization and the future of the United States of America. I'm Albert Mohler.
The IRS doesn't wait, and neither should you. If you owe back taxes, every day you delay could mean wage garnishments, bank levies, tax liens, and mounting penalties and interest. Here at PJN Tax Solutions Group, we fight the IRS every single day. We help taxpayers stop aggressive collection actions, negotiate affordable payment plans, pursue penalty relief, and when appropriate, settle tax debts for less than the full amount owed. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. Don't let fear keep you from taking action. The IRS has experienced professionals working for them. You deserve experienced professionals working for you too, right? Don't let the IRS control your paycheck, your bank account, or your peace of mind. Call PJN Tax Solutions Group today at 630-415-5296, or better yet, just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun with a chance of a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon and a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, starting the week with sports and politics. Why not? It's rare when you see a fan get kicked out of a WNBA game, so you might as well start there, particularly a high-profile fan, in this case, Enes Kanter Freedom. You know, the WNBA, very much like the trans movement that it's so devoted to, looks worse the more you see it. The more attention is paid to the WNBA, the worse it is going to turn out for the WNBA, I'm afraid to say, if you're a WNBA fan. So this is This is Enes Kanter Freedom getting tossed from a Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game right here in the Windy City.
6-point basketball game. Chicago staying in it. Natasha Cloud. And right before the break, this was the scene inside Wintrust Arena after Natasha Cloud got that bucket. She wanted her voice heard. We have talked about the conversations surrounding the W. That is Enes Kanter in the building today. And he has voiced how he's felt about the situation. Natasha Cloud voicing her opinion as well. Kanter was just escorted out.
The W, you mean the women? The question surrounding the W and WNBA. So Enes Kanter Freedom, she starts coming after him. He's sitting under the basket after she scores and starts pointing at him and this and that. And then he stands up, and by the way, he's 6'10", so he's noticeable. Stands up and says, like, what's your problem? And then security comes over and he gets tossed as Chicago Sky players intercede and make sure Natasha Cloud doesn't do something stupid like go into the stands or additionally stupid. So he later explained that Mr. Kanter Freedom on what happened in that exchange with Chicago Sky player Natasha Cloud.
Enes, what happened tonight?
What happened tonight? Good question. So I was literally out there. I mean, I'm a huge fan of basketball, a huge fan of women's basketball, and I was there to watch the game, and I was really excited because I'm a huge fan of the Fevers. And so I was just literally just there to just watch the game, and then first half was amazing. I was having so much fun with my friends and stuff. And then it was towards the end of the third quarter, and Sophie Cunningham shot a three, and I put my hands up to celebrate, right? Literally a couple position later, Natasha came back and started screaming and yelling and said, "She's not going to sleep with you." And I was like, I am not trying to sleep with her. I'm just here to protect women and support her. And then obviously after that, she started yapping and she started to walk towards me. And literally I just got up and then I was like, I'm just here to protect women and that's all, right? And then she started to yell. She started to use some very heavy language. She started to actually cuss. And I was very shocked that there were a lot of kids and there were a lot of teenagers was at that game. And I just cannot believe that she was just cussing and using those F-bombs in front of all these kids. And that is not, I mean, I'm sure like she's loved in Chicago and many kids and idolized.
Nobody knows who she is.
That's not loved in Chicago. And WNBA athletes should react, And then anyway, and then after that, the security guy, came and then I was like, listen, you need to leave. I was like, can you please tell me why do I need to leave? They said, look, you just need to leave. And then they literally, I don't want to say they dragged me, but like they pretty much like pushed me to leave the gym. And then after that, I had a conversation with the police officers, which I respect a lot. I was like, listen, I was just there to protect women.
So 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. It's going to be great when Enes gets drafted next year and they can have a real grudge match between whoever he plays for and Natasha Cloud on the Sky. We'll see how she fares on the basketball court. Perhaps. A text from 630, this is all intentional, get ratings. Yeah, but that's my point, though. I don't think it's going to do what it's intended to do if that is indeed the intention, or if it's just a matter of a lack of impulse control among a leftist cult that controls this particular professional sports league, which I think is more close to the truth. But the more exposure it gets, the less digestible it is. And when it comes to people volunteering to pay money to support this, I mean, sans the NBA subsidy for purposes of this conversation. I don't know how that redounds to the league's benefit. I guess is my point. But Cantor Freedom was also did a sit-down with Lara Trump over the weekend, and he's ready to go and put me in, Coach.
So I played basketball in NBA for 11 years. I mean, I averaged a double-double, and it was an amazing time. I had so much fun with my teammates. So I love the game, and I am ready to play. I'm prepared to play. So I know I'm 34 years old, and I think I will be the best draft pick in WNBA history, literally.
Yeah. The 6'10" dude, yeah, he should fare well in the WNBA. Even at 34 or 35. But also, too, remember Enes Kanter Freedom. He became Enes Kanter Freedom because he was outspoken against the NBA's dalliance alliance, however you want to describe it, with the Chinese communists. And backing down when that Houston GM made the comments that he made. That's when he added the freedom, and he took a very public position. And he believes he suffered professionally because of it, but he has no regrets because he's not playing for the commissars at the NBA or WNBA.
Well, freedom is not free, and it comes with a sacrifice. I mean, I haven't seen my family almost 14 years now. And because I wanted to stand up for all the, human rights abuse happening in China, I mean, they kicked me out of the league when I was 29 years old, and that cost me around $45 to $50 million. I mean, I only fear God and God only. Everyone bleed like me. So I know this is God's work, and I'm not going to give up. And I have no regrets.
No regrets. Enes Kanter Freedom. Getting interesting. As the WNBA, we still wait with breathless anticipation for the task force's conclusion as to this question of what is a woman for the purposes of playing in the WNBA. So stay tuned. We'll be sure to break in with news if they reach a decision. Let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
531, 59 degrees. Crisp and cool this morning. And in our QC Kinetics newsroom, Indiana Governor Mike Braun calling out NIPSCO over ongoing power outages in Northwest Indiana this morning. Still, more than 10,000 customers remain without power nearly 2 weeks after severe storms tore through the region. Lake Station, Indiana Mayor Bill Carroll is frustrated.
My community is frustrated. I'm frustrated. I just am making sure that people know that Lake Station is a city, deserves recognition just like any other community.
ComEd and other Midwest power companies are going across state lines to try and help. ComEd sending more than 60 employees into Northwest Indiana to help. The governor's office in Indiana says damage from the storms that blasted Indiana beginning on August 11 may have a price tag of over $5 billion. This morning, a woman is dead after being pulled from Lake Michigan on the city's south side. It happened on Sunday morning. Chicago police saying the fire department marine units recovered the body from the water around 10:15 a.m. near the Kenwood neighborhood. One man is dead, another wounded in a shooting on the southwest side. Police say the victims were shot yesterday morning in the 6100 block of Campbell. There have been no arrests. At the Illinois State Fair last week, controversy surrounding ethics, transparency, and complaints against lawmakers followed politicians from the Capitol to the fairgrounds. A workplace culture and accountability group set up by House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch in response to issues tied to sexual harassment and an investigation into former member Representative Harry Benton and the internal handling of complaints. It's now tied up in even more controversy. Now that a third member of that group, State Representative Tracy Mule of Northbrook, has publicly withdrawn from participating in that group. According to a new report on financial red flags, Illinois has a higher debt ratio than any other state. The Reason Foundation used audited financial reports from state government and the 100 largest cities, counties, and school districts to evaluate them on financial health. Research Director Jeff Lawrence says Illinois is way upside down with a debt ratio of 276%.
$80 billion in total assets versus $220 billion in debt. So if you were to try to liquidate all of the state's assets to pay off all its debts, it would be impossible.
Lawrence says Chicago residents will face heavy city and county debt as well.
The city is going to have to start spending significantly less money than it's bringing in. We haven't seen any evidence that the city is willing to do that yet.
The report also flagged Illinois for liabilities per capita and an unrestricted net position. Shelley Fabre, an actor who was a fixture on television for decades from her days as a young teen on the Donna Reed Show through One Day at a Time, and then Coach, has died. She was 82, but Chicago Bears fans remember her as Joy Piccolo, wife of Bears running back Brian Piccolo, played by James Caan in the Brian Song movie. Speaking of the Bears, they were bashed by the Bengals in Cincinnati. Ben Johnson's crew has tough decisions to make this week ahead of practice and then a Saturday contest in Nashville. The Turk will visit August 30th when the roster is cut to 53. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2 and avoid that three-game sweep from Seattle. They visit Arizona tonight. White Sox walked off the Mets 2-1. Tristan Peters, the game-winning solo shot. Southsiders will host Texas tonight. And Wyndham Clark lifts the celebratory championship trophy after another victory on the PGA Tour, this time winning the BMW Championship at Bellerive in St. Louis. News, a service of Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. Long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop, powered by Series 3 Intel Core processors, so you can work from anywhere. Now $699 with student pricing from $599. Find PCs built for you at Dell.com/deals. Dan Proft and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And in 2 minutes, a check of our AccuWeather forecast in the Air Ride Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Hugh Hewitt sees the Democrats sprinting left.
Abdul El-Sayed, arguably the most radical major party candidate in the history of the United States. I mean, we've had Gus Hall, an American communist, and we've had Eugene Debs, a socialist, run before. But I think Abdul El-Sayed is the most radical major party candidate for the United States Senate ever. The sprint of the Democratic Party over the left edge.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine coming home to a place that's designed around your life, where every detail reflects your style, your family, and your future. That's the Steiner Homes difference. As Northwest Indiana's leading custom home builder, we've spent more than 30 years helping families create exceptional homes with outstanding craftsmanship, personalized design, transparent pricing, and an unmatched customer experience. And our secret? We have tons of fun doing it. Whether you're building on your own lot or in one of Northwest Indiana's premier communities, you'll discover why so many homeowners choose Steiner Homes. Check us out at SteinerHomesLTD.com. And we invite you to meet our family in person at Northwest Indiana's Parade of Homes, September 18th through the 27th. Tour one of our affordably elegant luxury homes to gather inspiration and ideas for your dream home. Visit ParadeOfHomesNWI.com for details of events and family-friendly festivities. That's ParadeOfHomesNWI.com. Northwest Indiana's Fall Parade of Homes, September 18th through the 27th. Join us and discover why Chicagoland families are choosing Steiner Homes. Love where you live.
This is Albert Mohler for Townhall.com. The most amazing development on the American political landscape right now is the emergence of socialism. Yeah, I said it. socialism. Just recently, CBS News launched a major investigative study looking into political support for socialism. Among the key takeaways are the fact that among those who identify as Democrats, 58% have a positive view of socialism. Only 32% of Democrats said they had a positive view of capitalism. It gets worse. Among respondents with a college degree, an even higher 71% say they have a positive view of socialism. The most obvious influence over these students is leftist professors teaching leftist ideologies. The culture of elite education is teaching university students wrong lessons about the economy, and it's doing so in so many different ways. Students' increasing support for socialism shows it, as do the polls. It's a seismic development when you think about the future of civilization and the future of the United States of America. I'm Albert Mohler.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country: free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd anniversary benefit dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun, possibly experiencing a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We're going to talk about this in part with Chris Whalen at the bottom of the next hour, but I figured I'd give you all a chance to weigh in on it as well, because there's a lot to it, and it's important. Talking about this latest trade impasse between the United States and Canada that occurred at the end of last week when a deal that was on the table was nixed, essentially, triggering the prospect of 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods with a sort of September 8th deadline for this to be averted. The Wall Street Journal opined President Trump took exception last year when we called his tariffs against Canada and Mexico the dumbest trade war in history. It got dumber this weekend as Mr. Trump escalated with another round of border taxes on Canadian imports a mere 10 weeks before midterm elections. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. Are you tiring of the on-again, off-again trade wars? The tariffs as the hammer that Trump likes to use when it comes to dealing with foreign governments, whether it's on matters economic or economic adjacent. Mark Carney, the PM of our future 51st state, had this to say.
Big step back. And this is what is unfortunate about the situation we're in. We're here for the right reason, but it's unfortunate. Canada and America and our G7 partners, we think about a lot of issues the same way. We're concerned about excess capacity in non-market economies. We care deeply about forced labor, child labor. We want it, and I'll take that second example where absolutely, do we want to cooperate? Do we want to share information? We want to align our approaches and our implementation of those approaches. And was that potentially part of this deal? Absolutely. There's a host of other things where absolutely we want to work together. But when it moves into restrictions and using Canada effectively as more leverage for America, clearly that's Canadians wouldn't accept that. We're a proud, independent country. We've got the right values. We'll make our decisions about who we want to trade with and how, and including on how we work with the United States and other partners. Thank you.
So what Carney is talking about there, who Carney is talking about there is China. And this, to me, seems to be the real impasse. Now, Trump said the basis for the new tariffs, if a deal isn't reached, is that Canada is discriminating against the U.S. by retaliating against its the national security tariffs on autos. He claimed that they've restricted sales of U.S. alcoholic beverages in response to his tariffs last year. He also said that Canada is treating U.S. dairy unfairly. In fact, he posted on Truth Social, Canada wants the benefits of being a state without being one. They've also charged our great farmers for many years massive amounts of tariffs, no more. So, spiral towards a trade war that Trump has initiated, legitimately or illegitimately. Jamieson Greer, trade rep, lead negotiator, if you will, on this.
We're moving forward with measures that respond to Canadian retaliation. Remember, as President Trump has introduced a trade policy to reshore American production and protect American jobs, two countries have retaliated against the United States, the People's Republic of China and Canada.
There's that prospect of China again. Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation, weighed in on this as well over the weekend while waiting for the Freedom 250 IndyCar race to kick off. Duffy said this.
We're great trading partners, right? But Canada gets the benefit of trading with the U.S. way more than the U.S. gets the benefit of trading with Canada. It's a country that doesn't have a military. It has a country that has a single-payer healthcare system that's failing. They have record-high euthanasia rates. And so to think that they're going to go to war with Donald Trump and actually win that war with the U.S., I think it's foolish on their part. And again, I think what the president's trying to do with Jamieson Greer, who, by the way, has done an amazing job representing the president and America, is we want fairness for the American worker. And some of our best friends are the worst offenders that treat us the worst. And the fact that we provide their security for them and they take advantage of us, I think President Trump was the first one to go, you know what, that's not the kind of relationship that friends should have. And so the president's calling them out. I think you're going to see Mark Carney come to the table very, very quickly because it's going to be devastating for his country.
Well, Mark Carney is certainly jawboning the issue, threatening at a little impromptu press availability photo op at some saloon in Canada that, maybe we'll shut off the supply of semiconductors to the United States.
Biggest supplier of semiconductors. We supply almost all their semiconductors. That whole, everybody in the White House is a tech bro except for Trump. They all need semiconductors. They all come from Canada. Maybe they won't. Maybe one day they won't show up. We'll see. We'll see what they're thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, the U.S. gets about 1% of the semiconductors it imports from Canada. So that may work for a docile Canadian press, but if you scratch below the surface, that's really not much of a threat. And the Trump White House certainly knows this. Now, again, I'm much more of a free trader, as anybody who listens to this show knows, than is the Trump is President Trump and J.D. Vance and his team. But the whole discussion of the use of tariffs was always predicated on, I don't know if I do it this way, but if the goal is to get ultimately to a reduction in trade barriers lowering tariffs and other trade barriers and leveraging U.S. economic hegemony to do so, then I think probably the net of all this will be positive. And I still think that. And so while I maybe was more inclined to be considered of the Wall Street Journal's opinion in the first go around, this time I think it's a bit different. And I'm surprised they're missing the case. Maybe it's intentional. Again, going back to the Journal and what they're zeroed in on, in part because what Trump has said, but maybe Trump is not, for some geostrategic reasons, telling the whole story of the motivation here. Carney said over the weekend, the major reason the deal blew up is that the Trump team refused to ease tariffs on heavy and medium duty trucks, including those made at Ford's plant in Ontario. And so the Wall Street Journal opines, why is Trump punishing Ford, America's largest auto producer? They go on, does the editorial board, to conclude, Trump's latest round of border taxes will hit an array of consumer goods, construction materials, and manufacturing components. Republicans are already getting pounded on the campaign trail over his tariffs and inflation. One reason for Trump's frigid approval ratings is voters believe Trump is waging blunderbuss wars without a strategy, and on trade, they're right. Again, 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line if you would like to defend the president or echo the sentiments of the Wall Street Journal. And here I'm going to defend him a little bit. The reporting that comes largely from Jameson Greer is that if the deal that was on the table would have cut auto tariffs to as low as 7%. Softwood lumber tariffs would have their 10% levy eliminated. Tariffs on most Canadian steel to 25%. The 50% tariff on Canadian dairy and wine could have been suspended. So Jameson Greer is disputing Canadian PM Carney's claim that the U.S. didn't offer enough. So what if the deal was net economically beneficial to both sides, and a reduction in tariffs, taxes would be, then why is Carney holding out, or why did he walk away? Again, that statement he made explaining himself and the discussion of Canadian sovereignty and who we can trade with and the issue of child labor. Just listen to that again closely.
We're great trading partners, right? But Canada gets the benefit of trading with the U.S.
Big step back. And this is what is unfortunate about the situation we're in. We're here for the right reason, but it's unfortunate. Canada and America and our G7 partners, we think about a lot of issues the same way. We're concerned about excess capacity in non-market economies. We care deeply about forced labor, child labor. We want it, and I'll take that second example where absolutely, do we want to cooperate? Do we want to share information? We want to align our approaches and our implementation of those approaches, and was that potentially part of this deal? Absolutely. There's a host of other things where absolutely we want to work together, but when it moves into restrictions and using Canada effectively as more leverage for America, clearly that's Canadians wouldn't accept that. We're a proud, independent country. We've got the right values. We'll make our decisions about who we want to trade with and how, and including on how we work with the United States and other partners. Thank you.
So this is all about China, and you would think a G7 country, an ally of the United States, would have the same posture, the same values, to use Mark Carney's term, as the United States vis-a-vis China. And maybe Trump is not leading with this because, this delicate dance that he does with President Xi. So just focus on Canada and don't bring China in. But this is about China, it seems to me, which is why I would give Trump more bandwidth here than I ordinarily would if this was just the sort of capricious tit for tat with China because of something Mark Carney said or because of something Canada hasn't done yet. In point of fact, there's reporting that Canada was bringing in Chinese steel and aluminum and selling it as Canadian steel to help China avoid America's tariffs. And they were told to knock it off, and they refused. That's why they walked away. It's not all these other things that the Wall Street Journal is talking about and Mark Carney is talking about, though he sort of telegraphed it. We'll decide who we want to trade with. Well, what does that mean? It means that the U.S. wants de-alignment from China, and Mark Carney doesn't want to de-align. That's a lot different. And just to compare and contrast, our neighbor to the south, Mexico, under Sheinbaum, who's, we've had our fits and starts with her, but they are shifting towards greater alignment with the U.S. and taking steps to restrict China goods and investment into North America. So it's interesting we're not having the same contretemps with the Mexicans that we are with the Canadians. So what's the difference? The approach to China. And again, China may be an ally of convenience here and there, but we understand the global threat that the Chinese communists present. They are not our friend. And taking a adversarial posture towards the Chinese Communist Party is in American interests. So you would, and frankly, it's in the interests of the West. So you would think somebody like Mark Carney would comply or would align unless there's something else afoot. Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Thank you for taking my call. I agree with you. You've hit the bullseye. You see things from the more sophisticated side of things, and I agree with it. But I've got another way I look at it, and it's this. Trump is for the U.S., and he does all kinds of things and makes all kinds of decisions. We don't always understand him, what he's doing to benefit the U.S. and everything. Our press and the media are opposite. They screw over the U.S. nonstop and do all kinds of things and always are trying to get into Trump's way and all that kind of thing. So whether we, the listeners, everything really understand all the things that are going on or who's right and wrong, we know one thing. Trump's for us and is trying to do a good thing for us. And whatever we get from, whether it be the Wall Street Journal or the newspapers or media, whatever, you can't trust any of them. I'm one of these guys. I trust what Trump is doing and figure that at least he's got our best interest in mind.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Well, I certainly think he has America's best interest in mind, more so than Mark Carney. So I think that's a pretty indisputable statement. There's also this from Mark Carney. When he was the head of the Bank of England back in 2019, he called for the end of the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency, speaking as these globalists do of a new world order and suggesting that China, being the world's leading trading nation, would be overtaking the United States as the global hegemon in short order. So, golly gee, where is Mark Carney coming from? Not from a Western perspective. Now, the one thing I would just add to this is to President Trump, boy, maybe you should have been a little bit more demonstrative in supporting Pierre Poilievre as opposed to saying I could work with Mark Carney when the Canadians were going to replace Katy Perry's boyfriend up there. How would this be going with somebody that is Western-oriented and more free market in disposition as opposed to this globalist commissar, Mark Carney? John in the Loop, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So, yeah, in the words of Chairman Powell, there is no inflation that results from tariffs. He said in the future, before he left, and 6 months ago, he said that the inflation is going to be from tariffs is going to be recorded as a rounding error in a future quarter. And the problem is that the traders who have regular trades that they make money off of on Wall Street, those fellas, when they have tariffs, they're not able to make those regular trades, and they do not get to make their quarter or make money. And there's a real problem with that, and that's why they want to bellyache and complain about the tariffs themselves, and they shoot themselves in the foot when they do that.
Thanks for the call, John.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
The cookie cutter approach works well if you're making cookies, but not so well if you're trying to plan for retirement. If you want a customized income strategy, call Raj Shah and Rick Borick at SC Wealth Advisors today. Call 312-345-5494 or visit scwealthadvisors.com. Investment advisory services offered through SC Wealth Advisors, a state-registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Secure Capital Management, USA, LLC, Illinois Insurance License 100634984.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06, now that bad old Dan Proft is out of the way, it's an opportunity for the Illinois Republican Party to reset. That's what the Chicago Tribune editorial board argued over the weekend. We'll distill that, take your calls, get your reactions at 6:06. And as I said, at 6:30, Chris Whalen joins us. It is now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Ramping up the pressure, CJ Papa, Fox News, and the cracks appear to be showing. Iran's real currency hits a new record low of $2 million to the U.S. dollar in morning trading. Fox's Trey Yink explains from Tel Aviv.
And the United States is set to unleash new economic sanctions against Iran to put new pressure on the regime in Tehran. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent wrote on Sunday, President Donald Trump and the overwhelming might of our military have significantly dismantled Iran's military capabilities and weakened its nuclear program. Now we are entering the end game. At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against any adversary. The head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council responded on X, saying if the economic war continues, not a single drop of oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf.
She's on trial for murdering her 3 little children, and the closing arguments in her case loom. Fox's Nate Foy reporting this morning from outside the courthouse in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
The witness taking the stand will continue from Friday, and it's Dr. Avram Mack, a forensic psychiatrist, who testified on Friday that he believes that Lindsay Clancy was not suffering from postpartum psychosis and that she knew the difference between right and wrong when she killed her 3 children. He interviewed her 2 times and reviewed her medical file as well. The jury heard about that. This case has really become a competing story from 2 expert witnesses. This is after the defense rested its case on Friday with their expert witness, forensic psychiatrist Dr. Philip Resnick, telling the jury that he believes that Clancy did suffer from postpartum psychosis.
The new tariffs placed on Canadian goods and President Trump include wine, hockey sticks, cement, as well as paper and textile products. Now, the president awaits a response from his Canadian counterpart. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02, 61 degrees. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Indiana Governor Mike Braun calling out NIPSCO over the ongoing power outage problem in Northwest Indiana. More than 10,000 customers remain in the dark, frustrating Lake Station, Indiana Mayor Bill Carroll.
My community is frustrated. I'm frustrated. I just am making sure that people know that Lake Station is a city, deserves recognition just like any other community.
The governor's office in Indiana says damage from storms that blasted the state starting on August 11th could have a price tag of over $5 billion. 1 man is dead, another wounded in a shooting on Chicago's southwest side. The victims were shot yesterday morning in the 6100 block of South Campbell. No arrests have been made. An Illinois state representative says residents in his district are stunned and disappointed after a judge released a man charged with illegally possessing Molotov cocktails while being unlawfully in the United States. Jordanian national Hamed El Saidi was arrested August 1st, charged with 8 counts of possessing an unregistered destructive device. State Rep Patrick Sheehan said Mokena police and Will County prosecutors did their job by asking the judge for El Saidi's detainment. But Illinois' electronic monitoring system broke again.
Just in Cook County alone, they have 300 on-ankle monitors that are AWOL. And, there are some that charges include murder. So we as a General Assembly, this needs to be a top priority going into veto session, lame duck session, and then the new General Assembly.
El Saidi was free for 2 days before finally being taken back into custody by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Chicago sports. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2. White Sox walk off the Mets 2-1. Wyndham Clark, your winner at the BMW in St. Louis. The news, a service of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows, limited commercials. Subscribe free, 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Larry Elder explains what California is facing.
Here in California, you think Joe Biden was a climate change extremist. Joe Biden never suggested banning the sale of gas-powered cars by 2035, which Gavin Newsom did until there was a big pushback and he stopped. I mean, you name it, on and on and on and on. Regulating this, regulating that, regulating this, regulating that. Everything that these Democrat socialists want done, they're doing out here in California.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly. Each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Shh, here he comes. Surprise! The people above your catering business are doing major construction, and the drilling is only during business hours. It's so loud.
Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting personalized discounts on a commercial auto quote with Progressive.
Also, that isn't powdered sugar on the floor. It's plaster from your ceiling.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Life moves fast, and it's easy to feel spiritually drained. That's why InTouch.org is here to help you stay grounded in God's Word every day. At InTouch.org, you'll find biblical teaching from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, free resources, and messages that speak directly to what you're facing. Whether you need encouragement, clarity, or a moment to reconnect with God, it's all right at your fingertips. Discover a place to grow your faith and find real hope at InTouch.org.
We work a lifetime to build a legacy for our families, but the most enduring gift you can give them is the peace of mind you provide when they need it most. When you pre-plan your arrangements at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, you replace the weight of uncertainty with the gift of clarity. Secure today's costs and protect your family from making emotional and financial decisions at the time of need. It's a final act of love they'll never forget. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5400.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
6:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound, an accident, left lane block. It's inbound at North Avenue this morning. Stop and go already on the Bishop Ford inbound, 115th into the Dan Ryan. Heavy and slow on the Tri-State on the southbound off-ramp to westbound I-190, heading to the big airport this morning. Report of an accident, Bensonville, Bussey Road, and right at the 390 toll road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and up next, our morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun, possibly experiencing a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. I said this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. Let's just get a task.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You need scapegoats if you're the Chicago Political Press Corps. If you're the Illinois Republican Party, you need scapegoats because, of course, you don't have any culpability with what Illinois has become. No, I understand. This is axiomatic about Illinois, which is that as long as you're not an actual conservative pursuing actual conservative policy solutions, then you are not responsible for the bad that occurs under your leadership of a particular institution of government or organization. And so nobody in charge is responsible. And certainly in the Illinois Republican Party, legislative leaders like, well, let's just go through the last three: Tom Cross, Jim Durkin, and Tony McCumbee. Senate Republican leaders, Christine Radogno, John Curran. These people are not responsible for what happens in the Republican caucuses. The state party chairman of the last decade, including those who basically flipped over to the other side, like Pat Brady, they're not responsible for what's happened under their leadership. You understand? No, it's just me. That's the editorial in the Chicago Tribune over the weekend. The Illinois GOP just got a chance to hit reset. Take it, beleaguered Republicans. What's the chance to hit reset? I shut down the PAC that I set up to support Darren Bailey's campaign in 2022. That's it. That's a big opportunity. The People Who Play by the Rules PAC, operated by conservative radio host Dan Proft. Thank you for not using crypto fascist. Has shut down its latest filings with the State Show after amassing $42 million from GOP mega donor Richard Uihlein, primarily during the 2022 election cycle. Right, because that was the point of it, to stand up to support Darren Bailey's candidacy, both in the primary and the general election, which is what I did. They go on to point out in 2026, Uihlein bypassed the PAC and gave directly to Ted Dabrowski's gubernatorial campaign over Bailey. And then they report how much my firm was paid over the course of running the PAC, which is less than your Morgan Stanley guy makes on a percentage basis of money managed. But that's okay. I know it's intended to be capricious and gratuitous. That's the point. That's what you do when you come up with a scapegoat. So again, the people in charge of the party, the caucuses, the caucus campaign committees, the state party, individual congressional races, gubernatorial races, Senate races, statewide campaigns, they're not responsible for what's happened to the Republican Party over the last 3 decades. It's just me. Illinois conservatives should grab this moment with both hands. More specifically, the land of Lincoln's GOP should use it as an opportunity to start fresh, empower serious leaders, focus on competent government and bread and butter Illinois issues, and invest in building a durable political operation capable of winning competitive races. Wow. I don't know why I didn't think of that. It just was right there in front of us this whole time. That's all we have to do. Get serious leaders, empower them, focus on competent government and these generic bread and butter Illinois issues, and then build a political operation that is capable of winning competitive races. Why didn't you say so? Why you been holding out on us for so long, Chicago Tribune? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. They're so interested in a viable Republican Party, because they know that, competition is good. I mean, except when it comes to things like K through 12 education, but I digress. And then they point out, though, and by the way, the reason that Uline gave directly to Dabrowski rather than to my PAC is because I was on the inside of the Dabrowski campaign and I wasn't on the Bailey campaign. But that sort of nuance is completely lost on the Tribune editorial board, either willful blindness or just general ignorance. And I really don't know which, because they demonstrate such a poor understanding of the political history of the last 30 years. In addition to how campaigns and politics actually work in this state, that I really don't know if it's just rank ignorance or if it's cravenness. It's easy to set up another PAC. Yeah, right. So go ahead and do it. Who's stopping you? Who's stopping anybody from doing anything? Where are these serious leaders that have just been waiting for my exit? By the way, I exited actually after 2018. When we missed the opportunity to hold Bruce Rauner accountable for his treachery and make Jeannie Ives the nominee for governor in 2018, which would have been a watershed moment in the Illinois Republican Party's history, and it would have ushered in all sorts of new opportunities. When we failed to do that, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't participate in the 2020 cycle. I was done. I walked away, and then I was asked to come back in to do this PAC in support of Bailey's candidacy, so I did. And then I was done again. And then I was, my friend Ted Dabrowski, who you've heard on the show many times, decided to run. And so the combination of thinking Ted was one of those serious leaders that the Tribune is searching for, because he is, and the opportunity to deliver a reckoning to Darren Bailey, who shouldn't be the nominee this year. He had his chance, and it's not just that he lost, it's how he lost and his conduct, as I said during the primary, and why I was supporting Dabrowski, as I explained over and over again. But anyway, but then I was out again. So I understand perfectly what the landscape is, which is why I didn't want any part of it. And if I've said it once, I've said it 45 million times on this show. Hey, go ahead. Who Tony McCumbee? She can build a better mousetrap. John Curran, whoever else, do it. Hey, I'm happy to step aside and watch the real professionals show me how it's done, just like I am right now watching the Bailey and the Tracy campaigns. How are those going? To the extent that there is any evidence of life happening in those campaigns. State rep races. Who's going to be to blame when the woefully underfunded candidates running for State House and State Senate get their clocks cleaned again this cycle, and the GOP remains mired in the not just super minority status, but irrelevant status? Oh, I blame. Then we just go blame Trump, because you need a scapegoat there too. Oh, the albatross of Trump. Once he leaves the scene, then we can let this talent that's at the leadership levels in the party and all their big ideas that are not defined, then we can, unleash all of that. Oh, and the Renaissance is right around the corner. And in the same breath, they say, well, with Uline leaving the scene financially and Ken Griffin leaving the scene financially, the problem of having major donors to support the party, particularly in the area of Pritzker, is a little bit difficult. Oh, you think? And this is your approach to seeking assistance? It's very much actually like the Illinois Republican Party at the leadership level. The combine Republicans, the big government Republicans. And that's been the problem with the Illinois Republican Party that the Tribune would never acknowledge since I've been an adult, which is, as I said before, but I'll repeat, we've always, at the leadership level, been a big government party, at least always being the last 50 years since Thompson. And it was because we had Jim Thompson that we missed the Reagan Revolution. And it was because we had Jim Edgar that we missed the Gingrich Revolution, even though we took out Madigan for those 2 years and had that Lee Daniels 2-year speakership, 95 to 97. But for the most part, we missed that as an orientation. And we've had conservative reform candidates, and they've lost in primaries mainly, or they've walked away from the scene like Peter Fitzgerald did after one term in the Senate. But we've never made conservative reform our ethos the way, say, Indiana Republicans did, starting with Mitch Daniels, that generated an actual renaissance for that state. Next governor after next governor that were essentially caretakers of what Daniels initiated. The same renaissance that Wisconsin had for 2 terms under Scott Walker. The same renaissance that we saw in Midwestern states in the 90s with Tommy Thompson, Wisconsin, John Engler in Michigan, when they pursued conservative reform policy agenda. Not say I'm a conservative, like some of the names I mentioned, and then be opposed to individual Second Amendment rights like Jim Durkin was, or be for marriage redefinition like Jim Durkin was, or to just go along with the kleptocrats in unleashing gambling to make this Vegas Midwest and then some, to unleash marijuana dispensaries. So you got a video poker hall and a marijuana dispensary on every corner, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to help the left stand up a mob economy. But I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative too. And the big ideas? Where's the big idea that they're promoting? The Tribune editorial. Sensible voices include including Illinois House Minority Leader Tony McCombie, both of whom offered sensible ideas and solutions to this board on issues of gerrymandering and tax relief. What? First of all, what are they? And we're going to gerrymander our way out of this? Are you nuts? We're getting hammered in all the collar counties. Even if we had map drawing powers, we couldn't win, because there's no point to the Illinois Republican Party's existence, and there hasn't been for a long time. So as soon as somebody, other than me, fine, I'm happy to step aside, wants to imbue that brand with actual meaning that has some resonance with the electorate, then maybe you can start talking. Instead, it is just table scraps. And, you have to understand how politics works. Excuses for advancing the other side's flag, for conceding defeat as your opening position. Jose Midway, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, it's about time somebody calls it out. It's a joke. First of all, you have Hispanics who came out very heavy for Trump. And nobody says nothing. Everybody's just sitting idle. It's a joke. I'm happy you're bringing it out. I'm happy.
Thanks for the call, Jose. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. The Illinois conservatives should grab this moment with both hands. And then in the same breath, McCombie and Spain, Ryan Spain of Peoria, and all the... We're conservatives, but of course we voted for Rauner's tax increase, and we defended those who did. I mean, so which part of the agenda of the establishment of this party has been anything resembling conservative or even Republican? Unlimited gambling, unlimited marijuana, a structural income tax increase. And of course, the fiscal profligacy. I mean, there's did they set up try and set up a Doge? Have they done anything? Have they put somebody undercover or just like a citizen reporter to go out and see if they can get a CDL license at an SOS facility representing themselves as an illegal immigrant and then get registered to vote too? I mean, there's so many things that you can do, and they've done none of those things. So many things you can do on the cheap in the digital age, in the AI era. And they've done none of those things. There's no initiative. There's no desire to win. There's no plan. And there hasn't been one for a long time, which is why you've had these one-off fights, which is why the decade that I was doing this prior to Bailey's campaign was about trying to create an accountability mechanism within the party, in primaries, in safe Republican seats, to get more conservative leadership in safe Republican seats that could be more aggressive and serious about putting in the fight and serious about advancing the flag for conservative reform ideas and policy solutions. But that's just characterized as, ideological warfare by the Chicago Tribune. Right. Conservatives are always, real conservatives, they're always engaged in ideological warfare because they want, in Illinois, to try the one thing we have never tried in my lifetime, which is to emulate the Scott Walkers and the Mitch Daniels and from a bygone era, the Tommy Thompsons and the John Englers, and stop with the Jim Thompson, Jim Edgar model of governance, which is big government. You heard the report on Mike Scott's newscast this morning from the Reason Foundation. Illinois, highest debt per capita in the country. Of course it is. And Republicans had no part in that, even though we had the governorship for 25 years up until Blagojevich? Of course we did. Clay in Libertyville.
Good morning, Mr. Prop. Yet again, Illinois Republicans trying to jam a square peg into a circle hole. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? And how many of these dark horse triads do we have waiting in the back shadows to throw instead of Darren Bailey? Come on. This is ridiculous. Prof, I applaud you for your courage and your willingness to stand up and actually try to make a difference. Unfortunately, it fell on deaf ears. But thanks.
Thanks for the call, Clay. Corey in Woodlawn.
Hey, morning, Dan. You're like a man crying in the wilderness. You're one of the few conservatives that I have listened to in this state that actually gives a damn about conservative values. It should have been easy to take these Democrats out. They have bankrupted citizens completely. Now try selling your home. Try selling your business. They are ruining us economically. This should be easy to win in Chicago, Cook County, against all of this. Because at the end of the day, Dan, when you talk to people about their morals, political compass, they're all conservative. Ask them how much they want to pay in taxes. They'll tell you 20%. You're conservative. I don't know why the Republican Party just hasn't tapped into it. Thanks, man.
Thanks for the call, Corey. George in Naperville.
Good morning, Dan. Keep doing that voodoo that you do so well.
Thank you, George. I appreciate that. There's this thing, there's a study about ChatGPT and AI that's sort of interesting. It has a political application, which is why I'll bring it up here. It's called delusional spiraling. Delusional spiraling. The study that MIT did. AI models are trained to be helpful and polite, so they're inherently sycophantic. They're structurally programmed to validate you. So when you go to ChatGPT with a wild theory, a paranoid suspicion, or an unhinged idea, it rarely pushes back. It agrees with you. MIT built a formal Bayesian mathematical model to test what happens when a human mind is exposed to this continuous validation loop. The results? They prove that even a perfectly rational, mathematically ideal human will spiral into absolute delusion when talking to a sycophantic AI. The AI acts as a reality distortion field. It takes your unverified suspicions and reflects them back to you as absolute truth. You get more confident, you ask deeper questions, the AI validates you further, the spiral tightens. And here's the most interesting part of it, too. The researchers tried to fix the problem using standard safety tools like retrieval augmented generation. They forced the AI to be 100% factual, no hallucinations allowed. It didn't stop the psychosis because the AI just cherry-picked real verifiable facts that supported the user's crazy theory while quietly admitting the facts that disproved it. They even tried warning the users. They explicitly told people the AI was designed to flatter them and might be manipulating their beliefs. That didn't work either. The delusion still took over. We were engaged in mass delusional spiraling within the Republican Party and within the Illinois electorate long before AI's emergence. delusional spiraling. And it's based on, the human versions of AI, the sycophantic, quote unquote, leaders, really just people with leadership titles in both parties. Not a leader to be found among them. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call. I'm not 100% correct on this, but wasn't Jim Edgar, he was the conservative Republican, that was a bunch of baloney, that he signed into the Illinois Constitution amendment that the Illinois teachers' pensions shall never be touched?
No, it wasn't that. He provided the pension ramp thanks for the call, Mark, to push out the need to finance these pension obligations in real time as they accrue, which is why you have governors like Edgar on, from Jim Thompson on, running around just like Pritzker has. We've balanced 6 budgets in a row. Everybody's balanced the budget, and yet Illinois has the highest debt in the country. How does that figure? Doesn't matter, because we're delusional spiraling. Balanced budgets. Everybody says it must be true. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Yes, you just made a great point about the AI, and you know what? The Republicans are pushing these data centers even harder than the Democrats, because you know what? That's where the money's going, and that's where the donors are coming from. So it doesn't matter if this whole AI thing is a delusion. It's all about the money, isn't it?
All right, Robert, thanks for the call.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Foundations of Freedom. A look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
You've worked hard for everything you have: your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate, so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:36, we'll talk to our friend Chris Raylan a little bit about the Canadian-U.S. trade impasse, as well as more affordability concerns domestically that will inform midterm election outcomes. That's 6:36. Chris Whalen. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
6:32 in Chicago this morning. Wonderful sunshine and a great start to the week in our QC Kinetics newsroom. Not so great if you still are without power in Northwest Indiana, where Governor Mike Braun there is calling out NIPSCO again over ongoing power outages. More than 10,000 customers remain without power nearly 2 weeks after storms tore through the region. A woman is dead after being pulled from Lake Michigan on the city's south side. It happened Sunday morning. Chicago Fire Department's Marine unit recovered that body from the water around 10:15 a.m. Area 1 detectives are conducting a death investigation pending autopsy results. Evacuations have been ordered in Reno, Nevada, as a fast-moving wildfire threatens the northern part of that city. Around 42,000 have been ordered out because of the Hawk Fire. Washoe County Sheriff Darren Ballum.
We have 450 beds at the convention center that are already set up. We also have another 500 beds that the Red Cross is getting. They are on their way to the convention center in Hall 5. So that's 950 beds we will have available.
Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo declared a state of emergency for Washoe County. 6 have been severely hurt during those fires. President Trump blaming Canada for trade tensions erupting again between the two countries. Former Vice President Mike Pence on CNN says a trade war with Canada is the last thing the U.S. needs right now.
My hope is, for the sake of American families and for the sake of the American economy, that what we're looking at here is negotiation and not confrontation in a trade war.
This comes after U.S. tariffs against a wide range of Canadian goods went into effect early Saturday after negotiators from both sides failed to reach an agreement. This morning, dog owners are being warned to check their pet food after thousands of cases of canned dog food sold in the U.S. and Canada have been recalled over possible metal contamination. The FDA says From Family Foods is recalling around 5,800 cases of 2 wet dog food products after receiving complaints of metal contamination. According to a new report on financial red flags, Illinois has a higher debt ratio than any other state. Reason Foundation Research Director Jeff Lawrence says Illinois is way upside down with a debt ratio of 276%.
$80 billion in total assets versus $220 billion in debt. So if you were to try to liquidate all of the state's assets to pay off all its debts, it would be impossible.
And the Cubs will be headed back to Williamsport next season as they'll participate in the Major League Baseball Little League Classic. Commissioner Rob Manfred announcing during Sunday's game between Milwaukee and Atlanta that the Cubs will take on the Blue Jays in the contest next season. Bears got bashed by the Bengals in Cincinnati. Ben Johnson's crew has some tough decisions to make this week ahead of a practice and then a Saturday contest in Nashville. The Turk will visit August 30th when the roster is cut down to 53. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2. White Sox walk off the Mets 2-1. The news, a service of Steiner Homes. You're invited to tour one of their affordable luxury homes at Northwest Indiana's Parade of Homes, September 18th through the 27th. Visit paradeofhomesnwi.com for details and discover why Chicagoland families are choosing Steiner Homes. Love where you live. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for the 7th annual Live on the Lake cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 19th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
Salem Surround. Is your business hard to find online? Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Shyman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE, 833-WILL-SAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to Steve's show, Protecting Your Assets, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560. Call now, 833-945-7283.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
6:39 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase with the Capital One Venture X business card. Big purchasing power means you can spend more and earn more. The Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. It's a vehicle fire right now burning on the Edens outbound on the ramp to Peterson. Emergency equipment headed to that scene. Bad accident on the Ike outbound just after St. Charles Road. Your stop and go from the Tri-State. Stevenson, 3-vehicle accident outbound at Harlem Avenue and the Dan Ryan. An accident being shoved over onto the right shoulder. It involves an IDOT vehicle outbound at 51st. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun, possibly experiencing a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Hassan Piker, one of the leading intellectual lights of the DSA, and thus the Democratic Party it took over. The streaming king of the left, which tells you a lot about that audience, said to the point of America versus China, since we were talking a little bit about trade earlier in the show, vis-a-vis the Canadians, the way to beat China, become China.
And that's why I always say, like, if in order to beat China, if we want to compete against China and beat China, whatever that means, we have to be China. And no matter what we do, they just keep winning. A lot of people will say, oh, do nothing win when they talk about Xi Jinping. It's like those motherfuckers are they're never doing nothing. They're always doing something. It's ironic because the Wall Street Journal article and like many other, at least like somewhat clever thinkers have identified why there's so much China maxing going on in America, because they look at China's trajectory as a positive one and they look at the American trajectory in their own current conditions, and they recognize how negative it is. China also is running into elite overproduction problems right now. Do I have faith in the Chinese government to overcome this problem? Absolutely. I have faith that the Chinese government is very responsive to issues like this because they're very sensitive to to anything that breeds rebellion.
Oh, indeed. No, they are. They'll just kill their way out of it, and that's something that Hassan Piker finds laudable. So does his producer, a guy named Eric Hovagim.
A couple weeks ago, I received a DM from this oversized Turkish man that I knew would change my life forever. No, that's awesome. We should ban the American stock market too. The New York Stock Exchange should be abolished. I would say I'm a socialist. I think I am very interested in the various communist nations around the world that have uplifted so many people out of poverty. I would like to learn from them as much as I possibly can, and communize the United States of America, brother. But
yeah, that's the story of communism's application, lifting people out of poverty. I think it's more the story of killing their way out of it, which is what which is sort of what Hassan Piker was getting to. And this continues, just in case you thought there was going to be any let up or any modulation here of their views, with the idea of trying to get their candidates across the finish line come November, like El Sharia in Michigan. This is a bunch of these DSA types, the overeducated, underperforming honkies that dominate the DSA leadership ranks, at least, about the coming revolution.
We have seen that the Democratic Party establishment that we have has to be ripped out. We can actually start to grab hold of the ship of state and steer it in our direction, but it's going to be a violent process.
Byron Sigjo Lopez, he's a DSA type. He's an alderhuman, City of Chicago. His wife attended a meeting of the 21st Ward Politburo, ward he represents, and had this to say about the coming revolution as well.
You're right. We do not underestimate how far we'll go by any means necessary.
That's right.
The ballot or the bullet.
That's right. That's right. The ballot or the bullet. We can either win or we can do things the easy way. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Christopher Whalen, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors and editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst, also author of Inflated: Money, Debt, and the American Dream, second edition. And our conversation with Chris is brought to you by Home State Bank. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate and spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today at 815-459-2000. Again, that's Home State Bank at 815-459-2000. Chris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. What can I say after that intro?
Well, I mean, since you're sort of adjacent to the, ground zero, as it were, New York City, I just want your assessment of the rise of the DSA, which everybody's talking about, and the prospect of them getting candidates across the finish line at statewide races, particularly in the Midwest, is something that I think surprises a lot of people, though it shouldn't if you were paying attention, but most people don't pay attention, which is why they're surprised. So just, your assessment of the threat level that you discern from this rise.
Well, I think the threat is real. It's riding on the wave of inflation that's been caused by the huge debt we have, and also the way the Federal Reserve has handled the markets. The Fed caused home prices to go up 50% after COVID by doing way too much. So we're now reaping the whirlwind, if you will. The Democratic Party has been migrating left for a long time, as you know. So this is not particularly surprising. I don't know, there was a gal down here in Florida who won the Democratic primary.
Angie Nixon.
Everybody made a big point about it. Yeah, but she was a local gal. She's well known. She's been in politics for a long time. I think that had more to do with her victory than her DSA affiliations. So, are they going to take over the Democratic Party? Probably not. I think, if anything, the Democratic Party is going to end up splitting because they are going to have quite a fight. A lot of mainstream Democratic candidates have actually done very well in this cycle. So, one of the reasons we departed New York is that I didn't want to watch this up close and personal because New York is, of course, the most progressive state in the country. That's where FDR hatched his little socialist plans, and they continue. You know, the roots of Franklin Roosevelt are visible today in a lot of the things you see and hear. But these people don't realize how modest they are in their socialist, infantile protestations. They really have no idea what a true socialist is. We had those in America once upon a time, 100 years ago. So, you know, I'm concerned, but mostly amused.
Mostly amused? Well, I mean, I suppose, you know, part of it in terms of this.
Mostly amused.
Yeah, in terms of the schism within the Democrat Party, I mean, part of it will be driven by how successful candidates like El Sayed in Michigan are. I mean, if you see some high-profile victories from these candidates in states or districts that are not, you know, decidedly to the advantage of the left, then, you know, that's only going to fuel this that much more. I mean, it's that sort of, you know, populist fascination with communist puppet shows that Bernie Sanders has.
Well, of course. But here's the thing. Remember, the Democratic Party are starting from a base of obsessive focus on consumers. So with the increase in inflation over the past couple of years, affordability is the issue going into this midterm election. Where do they go? They go even more radically into areas like rent control and things of this nature, promising help. But this has a very short life cycle, Dan, because they can't really help. I mean, rents in New York are continuing to climb. The rent control regulation that Mayor Mondami put into place is actually reducing the number of units available. So at a certain point, voters are going to see that, and they're going to say, well, you're not helping me, and they're going to look for something else. So, you know, that's our female Westie, by the way. But, you know, I don't underplay the importance of this. This morning, you have to get the chicken jerky. But I do think that, you know, ultimately this is about inflation. And, you know, I don't know what it's going to take for people in Washington to start taking the federal budget deficit seriously. But we're pretty close to the point where they're going to be forced to do so. You saw the antics last week. And, you know, President Trump threw Scott Bessent under the bus on Friday. So I'm not sure what's going to happen this week.
What do you mean? Scott Bessent's got a plan to deal with the $40 trillion in debt. That's what J.D. Vance told us. Don't worry about it. Scott Bessent has a plan, as if this is a one-man job and Scott Bessent can deal with this unilaterally.
Yeah, Scott Bessent and Kevin Warsh at the Fed have an impossible situation. You know, as much as it pains me to say this, having worked for Jack Kemp, the tax cuts put in place by George Bush and then Donald Trump have dug us a big hole. At some point, we have to figure out a way to pay our bills or cut back spending.
Right.
Those are the two choices we have. And we're either going to have this conversation or they're going to continue to front load the federal debt and the near maturities, less than 1 year, and eventually short-term interest rates are going to get forced up. Why do I say this? I've seen this movie before in countries like Mexico and Brazil during the debt crisis of a few decades ago. So, you know, there is no easy solution to this other than either raising revenue or cutting spending. Those are the two choices you have. Nobody in Washington wants to talk about this, and the markets know this. That's why the markets are reacting so negatively. You know, the Fed hasn't done anything. They haven't raised interest rate targets, but the bond market has raised interest rates almost half a point all by itself. So that's kind of where we are as we head into Labor Day.
Well, you know, this philosophy that was au courant a cycle or two ago when Biden was ushered into the White House, they're not talking about it as much, not by name, but they still seem to be adherents to the modern monetary theory of money supply and spending, which is spend without restraint and have the Fed monetize the debt, hike taxes, and then spend more when things go sideways.
Oh, no, precisely. And think about it. I mean, right now we have an economy that's slowing in part because of the Iran war, in part just because of the inflation that's rippling through the system. And we're running a deficit of 6% of GDP right now. How much more deficit do we need, right, if things slow down? So, again, I think, unfortunately, we've painted ourselves into a corner in terms of policy choices, and nobody in Washington, left or right, I don't care what persuasion they are, wants to have this conversation. They all want to go home and talk to the voters, right? So that's kind of, where things are. Last thing Congress wants to do is vote on anything right now. It's a very strange time in D.C. But, having said that, we're going to probably set new records on the stock market. So the bright side.
Unless the DSA gets a hold of the reins of power and eliminates the New York Stock Exchange, as Hassan Piker's buddy wanted to do. That's a new one. And I haven't seen that on the platform. Maybe that'll be a codicil.
No, well, maybe. But look, these are all phony socialists. They take the money with both hands once they're off camera. You know that way that this works.
Oh, especially from their parents.
Like AOC, you think she wants to live like a... Well, precisely. But do you think AOC wants to live like a socialist? No. These are little glam politicians who want to go out and have a good time in the evening roaming around New York City.
Yeah.
So I find the contradictions in American life getting more and more interesting as time goes on, which is why I'm working on a new book on gold, a very topical subject.
Okay. And the thesis of the new book, Buy Gold?
Yeah, the return of gold is the chief monetary asset in the world. I go back to Greek and Roman times, which is really fascinating. And just take it forward. The book can only be about 30,000 words so that we can get people to buy it and send it to their readers. The size of books is now the constraint because of the postage. But, I think it's important to remind people that the socialists around Franklin Roosevelt, including a guy called Mariner Eccles, the great celebrated Fed chairman, were all anti-gold. They tried to brainwash Americans and to say, don't think about gold, think about dollars. But we then go out and debase the currency to an enormous degree. So now that option has kind of run its course. So where do you go? Most global central banks today are going back into gold, and they are reducing their holdings of dollars. Pretty clear indication of how they feel about things.
Just wanted to get you quickly. We were talking about it a bit before this impasse between the U.S. and Canada on trade. And despite the Wall Street Journal opining negatively on it, it seems to me that there is something here with respect to Canada's unwillingness to de-align from China in a way that, say, Mexico is doing. And maybe there should be a bit of a reckoning for the Canadians on that topic.
I think the Canadian government, Mr. Carney, would rather slit their wrists in the street than do a deal with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it is just personalities, and part of it is the Canadians, every once in a while they get enough of us and they just decide that they're not going to go along with the United States. It's a fitful relationship. So when I saw Trump invoking Smoot-Hawley, I just had to smile. I mean, my God. That's kind of where we are. But the thing we're dealing with, Dan, is that our beloved president has to be top of the news every day. So he's going to find something to do every day, regardless of whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. Half the things that Trump does I love, the other half I cringe. So it's just been that kind of, couple of years. And, the lame duck is about to start, so we'll see how that goes for 2 more years. It'll be fascinating. But at least he'll have his ballroom.
Yeah, indeed.
Right?
Yes. John Roberts, Congress can't be, or I should say the courts are bad construction managers. That at least is some common sense brought to the discussion.
So you love that? I think it's the emblem of our time.
Christopher Whalen, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, editor of the Institutional Risk Analyst, and author of Inflated Money, Debt, and the American Dream, 2nd edition. And we'll look forward to his forthcoming book on gold as well. Our conversation with Chris brought to you by Home State Bank. Consider Home State Bank as an impartial trustee to your estate. Spare your family from conflict and disagreements. Talk to a Home State Bank trust officer today at 815-459-2000. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Chris, thank you as always.
Have a great day, Dan.
You too. And Chris joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Labor Day celebrates fair wages, reasonable hours, and big savings on Beautyrest at Hassellus Mattress. Through Labor Day, Hassellus will give you $200 off and a $100 rewards cash card, plus free next day delivery and removal of your old mattress, plus a free adjustable base with the purchase of any Beautyrest world-class mattress. Save big on Beautyrest now through Labor Day at Hassellus Mattress. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassellus.com.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:07, Iran is ready to restart negotiations. And we're going to stick on this hamster wheel, are we? We'll discuss with Stephen Bucci. That's 7:07 in the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. You know, more on the Clancy case and why Dan Proft is single. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
Taking aim at the enemy's economy, Gianna Gelosi, Fox News. The Trump administration set to announce what is being described as economic D-Day on Iran, unveiling a package of measures to isolate Tehran from the rest of the world. Fox's Marianne Rafferty.
The U.S. Treasury is expected to detail what's being called the toughest sanctions in history Monday. In response, Iran is vowing to neutralize the economic war with the U.S. It's also threatening to halt oil flow out of the Strait of Hormuz if any neighboring countries join the effort. This, as a new report shows, traffic through the vital waterway is up nearly 400%, but still just 20% of pre-war levels. There are also signs of growing division within the Iranian leadership. Iran's president is defending an interim agreement reached with the U.S. in June, saying Tehran cannot continue with war forever.
Now, Pakistan's army chief is set to visit Iran today in an effort to get the peace talks going again. And the U.S.-Canada trade dispute escalating with no new talks planned and both sides digging in. Trade Representative Jameson Greer says the Trump administration is preparing countermeasures to Canada's tariff retaliation, arguing Ottawa rejected offers to ease duties on steel, autos, and lumber. Fox's Alex Hogan.
Negotiations with Canada fell through. The U.S. will impose 50% tariffs on $20 billion worth of Canadian products. Now, Canada imposing retaliatory tariffs, promising to match them dollar for dollar. And this was what President Trump said when he reacted, writing on Truth Social. Canada wants the benefits of being a state without being one. They also have charged our great farmers for many years massive amounts of tariffs. No more.
And President Trump's political poll facing a big test in the Palmetto State tomorrow. South Carolina voters are going to choose between Trump-backed Darlene Graham and Ralph Norman in a runoff election to fill the late Senator Lindsey Graham's Senate seat. America's listening to Fox News.
It is 7:02, and right now 59 degrees in Chicago in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Indiana Governor Mike Braun calling out NIPSCO over the weekend over the ongoing power outages in northwest Indiana. This morning, more than 10,000 customers remained without power nearly 2 weeks after storms tore through the region. Lake Station, Indiana Mayor Bill Carroll.
My community is frustrated. I'm frustrated. I just am making sure that people know that Lake Station is a city, deserves recognition, just like any other community.
The governor's office says damage from severe storms that blasted Indiana beginning August 11 could have a price tag of over $5 billion. One man is dead, another wounded in a shooting on the southwest side. Chicago police say the victims were shot yesterday morning in the 6100 block of South Campbell. One pronounced dead at the scene, the other rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. At the Illinois State Fair last week, controversy erupted over ethics, transparency, and complaints against lawmakers. It followed politicians who arrived at the fairgrounds from the state capitol just a few miles away. One thing that erupted, a workplace culture accountability working group created by House Speaker Chris Welch, has been abandoned by many members of that group. Now a third member of that group, State Representative Tracy Katz of Northbrook, has publicly withdrawn from participation. Week 2 of the NFL season in the books. Bears did get bashed by the Bengals. Ben Johnson's crew, tough decisions to make this week ahead of a practice and a Saturday contest in Nashville. Rosters will be trimmed on August 30th. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2, a couple of grand slams in that win. They visit Arizona tonight while the White Sox walk off the Mets 2-1, and the Southsiders will host Texas tonight. The news, a service of Home Builders Association of Northwest Indiana's Fall Parade of Homes, featuring 7 high-end custom homes by 7 premier builders on large country lots in Stonebridge of Valparaiso. Learn more at paradeofhomesnwi.com. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago returns to the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 10th. Headlined by investigative journalist James O'Keefe and former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. They'll be joined by Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, John Anthony, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Firago and by Nauman and Associates. WIND, Chicago.
Shh, here it comes. Surprise! The people above your catering business are doing major construction, and the drilling is only during business hours. It's so loud.
Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money, getting personalized discounts on a commercial auto quote with Progressive.
Also, that isn't powdered sugar on the floor. It's plaster from your ceiling.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
If you're looking for a place to grow spiritually in the middle of a busy life, InTouch.org is designed for you. Explore practical, biblical teaching from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, free study guides, and messages that speak to real-life challenges. Whether you're searching for direction, comfort, or a deeper understanding of God's Word, you'll find tools to help you take the next step. Discover resources that meet you right where you are at InTouch.org.
Don't you love summer in Chicago? But I bet you hate painting year after year, so do what your neighbor Rich did. He called Rhino Shield.
Aluminum siding built in 1961. It also had a lot of stains, and it was white, and we wanted to change the color.
And Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty and is formulated specifically for our unique climate here in Chicago.
We're told that it's hard to paint aluminum siding and get a good adhesion with regular paint, so Rhino Shield was great.
And just in time for summer Chicago, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
They came on a Saturday and power washed everything all around the house. And then they came back and did all the work on Monday and Tuesday. And in 2 full days, they worked on a Monday and were completely done by Tuesday.
This offer is for a limited time, so call now, 847-850-1132, 847-850-1132, or ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
No pain, Go Rhino Shield!
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads now. Team Hochberg traffic center time. Stop and go traffic on the inbound side of the Edens between Oakton and Peterson, and that's all due to an outbound vehicle fire on the off-ramp to eastbound Peterson with emergency equipment on the scene. Stop and go on the Stevenson inbound between Harlem and Kedzie after an earlier accident has been swept out of your way. An accident on the Dan Ryan being shoved off onto the exit ramp. It's the inbound off-ramp to the Stevenson Expressway. And an accident on the Tri-State this morning northbound right at I-55. Traffic, a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, a check of the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun, possibly experiencing a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by YourWearableWords.com. Printed logo apparel shipped direct to you. YourWearableWords.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump having this to say on the situation with the Iranians.
They are now coming around because there's not much they can say. When a country doesn't have any longer a Navy, an Air Force, radar, technical equipment, manufacturing, their leaders are gone, their second set of leaders are gone, parts of their third set of the leaders. In fact, it's actually one of my biggest problems. I don't know who the hell to deal with. It's a problem.
Yeah. Well, mixed messages coming from Tehran, as is customary. Galabaf posting, we've received numerous messages from neighboring countries about shaping new security arrangements and economic cooperation in the region. The United States put the security of every single one of its allies at such risk through bullying and pure disregard for their foreign interests for the sake of Israel. Yeah, and then Aragachi said maybe it's time to come to the table to figure an end to this war. And round we go as we await the details of this allegedly regime-killing array of economic sanctions that Scott Bessent is going to unveil today, in combination with some evidence that what Trump is saying about the Strait is correct, that the U.S. has control. 16 million barrels of oil transported through the Strait on Friday alone, which is nearing pre-war levels. For the state of play with the Iranians, pleased to be joined by Stephen Bucci for a weekly conversation. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me back again.
So, your assessment of the state of the situation in the Strait of Hormuz for the purposes of, global oil prices, and this forthcoming announcement from Bessent today on the sort of economic fury 2.0.
Well, the first one, it seems to be moving in the right direction. The people are gaining more confidence that we can control the strait and stop any of the mischief that the Iranians have been doing, and the prices seem to be coming down. I'm not an oil analyst, so I don't pretend to be able to read the sort of arcane way to do that, but it seems to be going down. So as a consumer, I'm happy. I had the cheapest tank of gas I've had in a while yesterday when I filled up my car. But as far as the other goes, I'm kind of confident that we've got a better combination of the economic measures and the blockade, which supports the economic measures, keeps people from cheating or causes them to pay a price if they try, I think seems to be working. I think the pressure on Iran is growing. They're pretty soon they're going to run out of money. Apparently, it's easier to get them to run out of money than it is to get them to give up because you're bombing all the stuff they've spent money on already. But President Trump's line there that you had in the clip. Okay, sir, I hear you. But you said this several times before.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see some progress here. And, I'm a good supporter of President Trump, particularly with regard to this. But he needs to either adjust the message to make it sound, he's starting to sound like a Democrat. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. I got this under control. No, it's a war, sir, and combined with a gigantic economic component because of the fact of fossil fuels, we need some more confidence here. If we're going to beat up Dr. Fauci for, deceiving us or telling us half-truths and that stuff, well, we need to do better. And I don't want, the president's legacy to be that, he bobbed us on for 6 months and nothing really happened. Optimism is not enough right now. We need to have results.
Well, so, should his, in your estimation, should his posture be, you're rolling out this new, as I said, Economic Fury 2.0, whatever that looks like today. We'll find more, we'll get the details from Bessent, apparently. Will we negotiate? Will we not negotiate? Are they interested in negotiating in good faith? Are they not? What do our mediators in Pakistan and Qatar think about this? Should we just say, no, we're not going to waste our time and our breath. We're going to continue to control the strait and move oil through the strait, and we're going to let this economic sanctions program work its punishment on this regime until they, based on what Bessent said last week, until they're replaced.
Yeah, I am. My vote is on the latter. That's what I would like to see. I am fed up with the continual return to the table that makes us look Obama-like. And I don't like that position. I thought it was wrong when Obama was doing it with the Iranians, when they kept switching and making John Kerry look like an idiot. I don't want to see our negotiators look that way because that was an embarrassment to America. I don't want this to be an embarrassment. I think we've given them more than enough rope, multiple chances, lies, different people saying different things. really playing everything they can to convince their neighbors to stop helping us, and none of it's worked. But then when we go back to the pressure, all of a sudden, because the Pakistanis or the Qataris or the Omanis say, "Oh, Mr. President, please go back to the table," we do. I think it's time to tell all of our allies, sorry, we've done this enough. We're just going to end this. That doesn't mean it's going to end that day, but I think it would, at least help the president's supporters say, okay, he's made a decision, he's going to follow up on it. This back and forth is very un-Trumpian, and I don't like it. So I wish it would stop.
In Eastern Europe, interesting piece in the Journal about green-lighting Kyiv to get into Russian territory. What the editorial board suggests is that Ukraine should have Starlink access over Russian territory so that it can strike fixed targets inside Russia, including energy infrastructure. They make the point that Biden restrained Ukraine from crossing over into Russian territory, and Trump should make the same mistake. What's your perspective on that?
Well, I think that the president has green-lighted them to hit targets inside of Russia, and they've done that. I'm not sure we want to encourage them to destroy everything in Russia because that could provoke, a bigger backlash. If Putin really thinks his, back is against the wall, not just on his Ukrainian operation, but on his reign in Russia, because the Ukrainians are doing so much, that could provoke a bad response. He could do something crazy like use a tactical nuke. I don't think that means you totally take it off the table, but I don't think it's something we should do cavalierly. We do need to watch that a little bit and maybe do it more incrementally than what that piece was suggesting. I'm not afraid of Russia, but they could still do a lot of damage as the wounded animal in the corner if we don't do this well.
Well, and we haven't really checked in on this in a while. What is the estimates on Ukraine's current wherewithal to continue this fight? And I ask because there was a front page story in the Telegraph across the pond there. Ukraine fight against Putin shows what women are really capable of, and it's a story about Kyiv openly, the Zelensky regime, openly discussing conscripting women into the military. So if that's where they're at, that speaks to potentially running low on manpower, as it were?
I don't think they're running low. Like, you're suddenly going to see entire, brigades with nothing but females. I think there are a lot of younger women in Ukraine who have been fighting, and I think they realize there may be more that have the wherewithal, the right physical fitness and capability to do it, that it might be an additional pool of manpower. I mean, they don't have endless manpower like the Russians, but it's not that small a country. They have a pretty sizable population, and they're not doing mass attacks where you have to have, equal numbers with the Russians. They're doing very technical and precise stuff that requires skilled people, not just a lot of them. So I think that's something to show the nation in arms kind of thing and build more national level support or shore it up. They've had a bunch from the beginning, but I don't think they're running short to the point where, oh my gosh, if we don't start conscripting the 12-year-olds, we're going to run out. They're not at that level yet.
So I mean, should we anticipate that this will be more or less status quo for some time to come? That this war of attrition, you're not seeing either side move the needle much?
I think we're stuck in this for a while. And the key is going to be whose population put the pressure on their leaders first to say enough's enough. And my money is on the Russian people finally saying, screw Putin. I don't care what. We're done with this. There's already reports of a lot of dissent as more and more babushkas receive their sons and husbands home in bags. That's been building for quite a while. They were been hiding and burying some of the Russian dead in Ukraine and just, oh, no. Did he get home? We thought we sent him home. Kind of messages. So they're at the lying stage. But I think very quickly, and quickly being a relative word, I don't mean like in the next month, but I think the needle is moving against Putin within Russia, and that's going to be a significant data point.
Back in our hemisphere, Rubio is essentially playing the role of Scott Bessent vis-a-vis Cuba in pushing sort of targeted sanctions against key communists in Cuba, along with more traditional efforts to punish state-owned enterprises there, their lifeblood. Also revoking visas and residency cards of Havana insiders and their family members. So he's putting the squeeze on Cuba. What's the prospect of regime change and revitalization of Cuba in the near term?
I think it's not immediate. It's not, exceptionally high. It's a lot higher than it's ever been in my lifetime. I think the pressure we're putting on them, the fact that they have lost the support of Venezuela, and it's harder for China and Russia to help them at all. That they're in pretty dire straits there in Cuba, and as that pressure builds, that population, I think, is going to get more and more restive, which will make it a prime potential target for us to do this kind of regime change that doesn't require an invasion, but is done through the economic element of power, and then probably some special, agency kind of fiddling around on the margins. I think that's the direction we're moving in, and I think it's pretty likely to go there.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and have a great week.
You too. And Stephen joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Freedom Summit Chicago returns on Saturday, October 10th to the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Tickets are now on sale. This year, Freedom Summit will be headlined by investigative journalist James O'Keefe, who just did a star turn impersonating Lisa Murkowski's brother in Alaska so he could vote. That was fun. James O'Keefe and former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. It's a full day of keynote speeches, book signings, breakout sessions, and much more. I'll be there along with Sean, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, John Anthony, and many others. If you haven't been to Freedom Summit, make sure to join us this year. And if you're a Freedom Summit veteran, we'd love to have you join us again. The event sells out every year, so don't wait to get your tickets. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. Freedomsummitchicago.com is the website. We have tickets available at several different price points to fit your budget. So get your tickets and make plans to join us at Freedom Summit Chicago 2026 on October 10th. freedomsummitchicago.com.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-869-2045 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-869-2045. That's 800-869-2045. What do you have to lose? Call 800-869-2045. Again, 800-869-2045.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
Hey, it's Sean Thompson. You know, one day it's market volatility. The next day it's conflict overseas. Price jumps, confidence drops, and suddenly retirement feels less certain. When the latest headline pushes costs higher and stokes inflation fears, it can have a ripple effect on your investments and your budget. But here's the thing. Retirement shouldn't depend on perfect timing or on the latest geopolitical noise. Tom Fortino and the Alpha Wealth Group help families right here in the Chicago area build a plan to create income you can't outlive, control taxes, minimize risk, protect your assets, and prepare an estate and legacy plan. It's their 5-pillar retirement planning. Ready to learn more? To get your complimentary retirement roadmap and a retirement analysis today, schedule a meeting with Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group by calling 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711, or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
We found out what RFK Jr.'s ringtone is at a most inopportune time for RFK Jr.
To drown the neurotypical children. We have a responsibility to do better when an autistic, sorry about that. When an autistic person goes missing.
Boy, it's the irony, being called a quack while you're talking about autism and research into causes and the specter of vaccines and so on and so forth. Maybe choose a more straightforward ringtone. All right, coming up at 7:37, latest installment of Why Dan Proft a Single. We return to the Lindsay Clancy trial as it nears completion. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
59 degrees, sunshine to begin the week in the QC Kinetics newsroom this morning. Evacuations ordered in Reno, Nevada, as a fast-moving wildfire threatens northern parts of that city. 42,000 people have been ordered out because of the Hawk Fire, a blaze that has burned through 15,000 acres since beginning on Saturday. Washoe County Sheriff Darren Ballum.
We have 450 beds at the convention center that are already set up. We also have another 500 beds that the Red Cross is getting. They are on their way to the convention center in Hall 5. So that's 950 beds we will have available.
45,000 more people are under an evacuation warning. President Trump is blaming Canada for trade tensions between the two countries. Former Vice President Mike Pence on CNN says a trade war with Canada right now is the very last thing the U.S. needs.
My hope is, for the sake of American families and for the sake of the American economy, that what we're looking at here is negotiation and not confrontation in a trade war.
Saturday, negotiators from both sides failed to reach an agreement. Speaking in Ottawa, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called the U.S. terms a bad deal. Dog owners are being warned to check their pet food after thousands of cases of canned dog food sold in the U.S. and Canada have been recalled over possible metal contamination. The FDA says From Family Foods is recalling around 5,800 cases of 2 wet dog food products. An Illinois state representative says residents in his district are stunned and disappointed after a judge released a man charged with illegally possessing Molotov cocktails while being unlawfully present in the United States. State Representative Patrick Sheehan said over the weekend Mokina police and Will County prosecutors did their job by asking for Hamid El-Saidi's detainment. But Illinois' electronic monitoring system broke again.
Just in Cook County alone, they have 300 on-ankle monitors that are AWOL. And, there are some that charges include murder. So we as a General Assembly, this needs to be a top priority going into veto session, lame duck session, and then the new General Assembly.
El-Saidi was free for 2 days before U.S. immigration took him back into custody. Chicago sports, Bears have some tough decisions this week ahead of a practice and a Saturday contest in Nashville. The roster is cut to 53 on August 30th. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2. They visit Arizona tonight, while the White Sox beat the Mets 2-1. The Southsiders host Texas tonight. The news, a service of Steiner Homes. Building homes is more than a business, it's a calling. Family-owned and dedicated to building custom homes with care, integrity, and craftsmanship you can trust. Visit SteinerHomesLTD.com, Northwest Indiana's leading home builder. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Gas prices in Chicago are riding like a roller coaster. They go up, they come down. Well, they come down a little bit, but then they go back up again. AM 560 wants to help ease your pain at the pump. Listen each weekday afternoon at 12:30 and 5:30 for the lowest gas prices around Chicagoland. And if you see a low gas price, let us know. Just text the word gas to 312-642-5600, followed by the price and location, and we'll share it right here on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross, all made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
741 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. A service of Dell Technologies. Back to school starts now. Long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop, powered by Series 3 Intel Core processors, so you can work from anywhere. Now $699 with exclusive student pricing, $599 for others. Find PCs built for you. Dell.com/deals. Stop and go on the inbound Kennedy, Montrose to Lake. Ike inbound 25th to Ogden Avenue with delays. Stop and go on the Dan Ryan in the locals, inbound between the Skyway and the Stevenson. Solid traffic on Lakeshore Drive northbound between Soldier Field and Monroe, and they've cleared an accident on the Reagan I-88 westbound at Route 53. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Today, partly sunny and a high of 79.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr. Straight talk for law-abiding lovers of America. This Saturday evening at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and we're nearing the end of the Lindsay Clancy trial in Massachusetts, and the homicidal empathy for Lindsay Clancy has not subsided, particularly on TikTok, where so many of these sentimental barbarians reside. I'll give you a couple examples of what I'm talking about. Litmus test for dating.
My new vetting process for if I want to date a man, first date question I'm always going to be asking him is, do you think that Lindsay Clancy should go to jail for what she did? And if that man says yes, I'm getting up and walking out right then and there. I cannot spend the rest of my life with someone who thinks that that woman is guilty and deserves jail.
Yeah, I feel the same way about those who believe that OJ did it. You know, same sort of thing. You got to have litmus tests. You got to have thresholds that people have to clear. Basic thresholds. Litmus test on the Clancy trial for who you'll allow to take you out to dinner. Okay. All right. That's a hard pass then. And there's some that are a bit more aggressive in the direction of men who, of course, as anything related to women, there's always the perspective that men are not allowed to opine. They should sit the blank down and shut the blank up.
And another thing about this Lindsay Clancy case that is bringing up the rage within me that is like generational at this point is the men who think that they can come in here, take up space, and speak on things they don't know anything about. Y'all need to learn when to shut the up and sit the down. You have no idea what postpartum depression is. Calling it baby blues, you motherfuckers. Just admit that not every room wants to actually hear your opinion. Let the women cook. And as a matter of fact, at this point, go call all the women in your family and tell them that you're sorry. Because I know damn well that you are a terrible partner. I'm definitely qualified to talk about men's issues. Like, is male pattern baldness actually that big of a deal? Like, maybe if you took better care of your hair. Like, you're letting yourself go. Low testosterone, oh my god. Like, you're just fat and lazy. Why aren't you 6 foot tall? Maybe if you tried diet and exercise, if you tried harder, you could be taller. And don't give me that excuse of erectile dysfunction. You're just too lazy to get it up. And before the pick-me's come for me, you also shut the up and sit the down, you traitors. How dare you? When it comes to women's issues, pick-me's and men have the right to remain silent. Because we don't care about your opinion. That's how we got here in the first place. Shut up and let us fix the problem, like we always do.
Yeah, let us kill our way out of it, apparently. So, really, I had no idea. It's an interesting perspective of being a certain height is just a matter of desire. That sounds about right for this crowd. I'll tell you what, one of my litmus tests, not that I'm in a position to have many, but one of my litmus tests is if a woman says that you're not allowed to talk about a certain topic, usually if it's, a quote unquote women's issue, whatever that is, that's a litmus test for me. But that's me. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text. I know I don't want to present this as stilted, like there are no commonsensical women out there, because there are, but I mean, they're needles in a haystack, it would seem. Here is one of the few on TikTok that I found who is actually, addressing the substance of the matter when it comes to Lindsay Clancy, like paying attention to the actual facts in the case as presented in a court of law. The way that a jury is supposed to.
I know I lied to you all and said that I wasn't going to make another video, but here are more facts that everyone's choosing to ignore. This whole, she was a married single mom raising those kids herself. The 8-month-old baby was born. The 3 and 5-year-old were in daycare full time. Patrick took a 12-week paternity leave and they hired a nanny to help with the newborn baby. After the 12-week leave was over, Patrick could see that Lindsay needed more help and support, so he decided to move his office into home and started working from home. So they decided they didn't need the nanny anymore because Patrick was going to stay home. And you guys are saying that this woman had no support? That is false. A key factor that you guys are missing of this whole entire thing, and you're letting this woman play on your emotions, she was a labor and delivery nurse herself. She was in this career path. Lindsay knew, she knew, if I tell my doctors that I am hearing voices and having thoughts of harming my children, they're going to be taken away from me. She knew that, okay? She is smart, she's calculated, and this was premeditated. Any woman going through actual psychosis, especially with the career path she was in, being very educated on this, she would have gone to her doctors and said, these kids, I need them away from me because I think I'm going to kill them. She didn't do that. Why? Because she wanted the opportunity to kill her 3 kids. She Googled how to kill. She Googled how long it would take Patrick to go from the house to the restaurant. Okay. She murdered 1 child. Patrick called. She missed the call. She called back after killing 1 child and said, we're good here. Everything's fine. We're fine. Because he was so neglectful, right? But he called her to check in on her. And then she went on to strangle 2 more children. And then, like, you guys are arguing, well, it was like the medicine putting her in psychosis, like all of that. She was telling doctors that she was anxious and depressed and she tried this medicine, but this medicine was giving her insomnia. And then the doctors were trying to work with her to find a good medication, but now you guys are saying like the Zoloft sent her into psychosis. I thought you were trying to argue that it was postpartum psychosis directly from giving birth and her hormones being up. It's like you guys are letting a very smart and calculated woman manipulate you and play on your emotions, and it's working. And a jury really might let her walk because it's scary.
Yeah. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. So I'm not sure if that's accurate that she Googled how to kill. I saw accounts that she Googled how to slit your throat. But it seemed like the Googling was more about self-harm than harm to her children. But, you know, she may be following that more closely than I am. Regardless, a lot of what she said is meritorious. And here's the other thing, too. Where is the homicidal empathy for others similarly situated? I mean, for example, Laken Snelling, the former Kentucky cheerleader who killed her newborn baby, suffocating it, she just pled out to a manslaughter charge. Here she is. And listen, she was under emotional distress. Where are the pink-shirted posse types rallying for Laken Snelling?
I was under a lot of emotional distress, and my baby came unexpectedly. And instead of helping him, I ended his life. And afterwards, I cleaned up and didn't tell him.
Okay. So tell me, when you say instead of helping him, you did what?
I ended his life.
How did you end his life, ma'am?
I deprived him of oxygen.
Okay. All right. And did you tell me about this tampering with physical evidence? What did you do with the evidence that could have been collected?
I put the towels in a plastic bag.
Okay. And what about this concealing the birth?
I didn't tell anyone after.
Okay. All righty. So are you pleading guilty today of your own free will without any threats, pressures, or promises from anyone to get you to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the baby's father? Can't we blame him? She was under emotional distress. Can't we blame that? Will the pink-shirted posse types be stopping in North Dakota next? A mother allegedly murdered 2 of her young children by slitting their throats and attempted to kill another after telling their father, "Say goodbye to your kids," quote unquote. That's according to an affidavit obtained by local news. Officers responding to a residence on the afternoon of August 6th regarding a report of a mother who had stabbed her children. 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart was found holding a knife to her own throat in the home. Covered in blood, She reportedly dropped the knife and told officers to kill her. After detaining the woman, officers found 3 young children who were lying unresponsive on the floor in a nearby bedroom. The children were all suffering from wounds to their necks. A 5-month-old and a 3-year-old succumbed to their injuries and died, but a 1-year-old survived the ordeal following extensive surgery. Investigators learned that prior to the murder, Earhart chased the father of the children and grandmother from the home with a knife. Cry for help. The father told authorities he managed to take a gun from Earhart, disassemble and dispose of the pieces before she locked him out of the house. Police said the couple was in the process of separating when the incident occurred. The father had made a prior report about Earhart threatening to hurt herself and her kids. She was placed in a mental health facility within the 12 to 18 months prior to the incident, but was cleared to be with the children following her discharge. She claimed she didn't remember what happened, but she remembered having the knife in her hands when police arrived. So, homicidal empathy for 22-year-old Kaylee Earhart, who murdered 2 of her children and almost murdered a 3rd? No? Why is one a cause celeb and not the other? A piece by Jessica Winter in The New Yorker is equally grating. What explains why people want to believe the Lindsay Clancy conspiracy theories? Because they're soft-headed and intellectually lazy? No. True crime brain is a national epidemic. True crime brain. I don't think it's a national epidemic. I think it's isolated. Trying to comprehend how an outwardly loving and devoted mother could asphyxiate her own children one by one using exercise resistance bands while her husband ran errands might trigger a kind of bewitched disbelief, one that expresses itself in perverse acts of fixation by deflection, including, to cite one example, staging a speculative reenactment of the crime scene using Bratz dolls and then posting it to TikTok. Yeah, that's a good example. But here's what she says about the competing stories. It's possible that both sides, those who are following the facts and those who are providing rationalizing conjecture for their homicidal empathy, it's possible that both sides are driven by the same source of rage and despair, because this is fundamentally a story of who is listened to, who is believed and taken seriously, and who isn't. Is that what this is fundamentally a story about? Or is it fundamentally a story about a mother who murdered 3 of her 3 children, and then tried to take the easy way out? Who is listened to and who is... This is about women not being listened to is obviously the implication here. We have to listen to women and believe women. Sure, I'll listen to people who are rational and fact-based and present a credible case or story, and I won't listen to people who don't. How's that? To transcend the banality of the New Yorker's gender politics. Brother. Mary Kay in Oak Brook.
Oh, hi, Dan. How are you?
Good.
The woman who's good. It's good to hear you. The woman who you started the segment with, who was talking about men taking care of themselves and how to, she said,
I could be 6'5" if I just tried harder. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my husband's 5'7", and it's like, it's not because he didn't eat right and work out and he wasn't an athlete when he was a kid, because he did. But his grandparents or great grandparents were like 4'11".
Yeah.
He didn't have a freaking chance. His dad was a little taller, so that bred some height into the family. But what an idiot.
Well, yes. Well, this is what you're dealing with. Yes, right.
That's what I'm saying. And, there's tons of awfuls, I mean, there's a good mix of them. But when I lived in Western Springs, there were women just like that woman who you started the segment with, just lunatics who know nothing about what they're talking, and like that Leah Remini, the woman from, what's that show? The Housewives of Desperate Housewives or whatever that show is. I never watch it. She said on TikTok or something that women don't strangle. So that was like that Lisa Rinna or something like that. Whatever her name is, I don't know. I just know she has big lips.
Yeah,
but she too is one of those who talks about stuff that they have no idea and make up, and then they fuel the fire.
Well, yeah, thanks for the call, Mary Kay. And by the way, that Lisa Rinna, she recounted that by saying, I was talking to my therapist, which, to take judicial notice of that. And would it be okay if men made this guy who murdered a young woman, Caroline Hines, is it okay if we have homicidal empathy for him because the devil made him do it? Have you heard of this case out of Pennsylvania?
18-year-old Caroline Hines was about to start her freshman year of college and play soccer at that next level. Now she'll never get the chance. Police say she was stabbed to death by her boyfriend, who did say, according to investigators, that a demon made him do it. She was found in the rear hatch of her car just after midnight on Thursday morning near a library on the campus of the school she was set to attend. Her father had requested a wellness check after Hines did not show up at school following a family event. Police say Hines had gone to speak with her boyfriend, Royce Moser, at his father's house. According to court documents obtained by Fox Digital, Moser told investigators what happened next. Quote, during the conversation, he got angry by something she said to him, but he could not remember what. He then said he then had a demon take over him and tell him to stab Caroline. The court documents say that Moser then went inside his dad's house, got a knife, went back to the car, and stabbed Hines at least once in the chest. Investigators say he then drove to his mom's house, and they both tried to remove blood from his clothing and the car. Surveillance cameras capturing Moser and his mother wearing latex gloves. Moser, also 18, faces multiple charges.
Mom tries to help son conceal a murder. There's that homicidal empathy again for Junior. You know how many men are going to show up to rally for that Moser kid who murdered his girlfriend because the devil made him do it? 0. Coming up at 8:08, he's running for mayor again. And you'll remember I was the president of the Whitey's for Willie fan club back in the day, last time he ran. Willie Wilson, humanitarian businessman, candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago. We'll talk to him about the mayor's race at 8:08. And at 8:38, co-founder of Flash Pash will join us to discuss the young MAGA socialists. MAGA socialists are here. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Waiting on the details, CJ Puff of Fox News, from President Trump's so-called economic D-Day targeting the bank account of the Islamic Republic, which already is reeling from a direct hit. Fox's Trey Inks explains from Tel Aviv.
The economic pressure comes as the Iranian rial crossed $2 million to $1 US, a historic low for the country's currency. The head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council responded on X, saying if the economic war continues, not a single drop of oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf. Iran will regard any country's participation in or support for America's economic war against the Iranian people as an act of war. Despite this statement, reports do indicate that crossings through the Strait of Hormuz are up 400% over the last 2 weeks. The United States is overseeing vessels out of the Persian Gulf through a safer southern passage.
Well, things like natural honey, essential oils, candles, hockey sticks, as well as paper goods on President Trump's 50% tariff on those goods from Canada, their leader, over the weekend.
We recognize that some U.S. companies and some U.S. states are innocent bystanders in a dispute that they did not want.
Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, whose countermove could begin September 8th. Coming up shortly, what could be the final day of testimony in front of a Massachusetts jury, which will decide the fate of Lindsay Clancy, the mom accused of killing her 3 kids.
The witness taking the stand will continue from Friday, and it's Dr. Avram Mack, a forensic psychiatrist, who testified on Friday that he believes that Lindsay Clancy was not suffering from postpartum psychosis and that she knew the difference between right and wrong when she killed her 3 children. He interviewed her 2 times and reviewed her medical file as well. The jury heard about that. This case has really become a competing story from 2 expert witnesses.
Fox's Nate Foy outside the courthouse in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Closing arguments could begin as soon as today. America's listening to Fox News.
59 degrees, and right now we have some sunshine in the QC Kinetics newsroom. I'm Mike Scott. Indiana Governor Mike Braun calling out NIPSCO over ongoing power outages in northwest Indiana. More than 10,000 customers this morning remain without power. ComEd and other Midwest power companies have gone across state lines to try and help. A woman is dead after being pulled from Lake Michigan on the city's south side Sunday morning. Chicago police say the fire department's marine unit recovered the body from the water around 10:15 a.m. in the 4500 block of DuSable Lakeshore Drive. According to a new report on financial red flags, Illinois has a higher debt ratio than any other state. It's new reporting from the Reason Foundation, where research director Jeff Lawrence says Illinois is way upside down with a debt ratio of 276%.
$80 billion in total assets versus $220 billion in debt. So if you were to try to liquidate all of the state's assets to pay off all its debts, it would be impossible.
Lawrence also saying Chicago residents face a heavy city and county debt as well. Chicago sports, Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2. They're in Arizona tonight. While the White Sox walk off the Mets 2-1, the Southsiders will host Texas. This update is service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature, a division of Esquire Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The U.S. imposed new tariffs on imports from Canada over the weekend. Canada plans to retaliate with its own tariffs after Labor Day. Crude oil prices moderated this morning. The U.S. is expected to impose tough new economic sanctions on Iran. Shares of companies tied to cryptocurrencies slipped after Bitcoin's recent rally stalled, though Bitcoin remains around $77,000. NVIDIA is said to be in talks to invest in artificial intelligence startup Perplexity. Its Perplexity computer is a cloud-based AI agent used by professionals to automate tasks. The Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Conference is later this week. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh delivers his first speech to the annual meeting. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Freedom Summit Chicago returns to the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 10th. Headlined by investigative journalist James O'Keefe and former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. They'll be joined by Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, Jeannie Ives, Amy Jacobson, John Anthony, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Ask Hassles. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Is this one of those viral pranks?
Beg your pardon?
I think you promote Hassles Mattresses employee-free showrooms just to lure me in so you can film a practical joke on me to go viral.
Sir, I assure you, we take employee-free mattress shopping very seriously.
What do? Tie me to a bed and spray me with silly string?
We simply let you try our selection of Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more without commission-crazy salespeople breathing down your neck.
Good one.
Others sell a Beauty Sleep by Beautyrest Queen Elm Cove A mattress for $1,599, but Hassles has it for just $794.
Sure you do.
And through Monday, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of a select Sealy Posturepedic or Beautyrest mattress, plus free next day delivery.
So shopping at Hassles won't make me TikTok famous?
Absolutely not.
Darn.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassles.com.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought,
what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Shh, here it comes. Surprise! The people above your catering business are doing major construction, and the drilling is only during business hours. So loud.
Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting personalized discounts on a commercial auto quote with Progressive.
Also, that isn't powdered sugar on the floor. It's plaster from your ceiling.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Everyone walks through seasons of uncertainty, but you don't have to walk through them alone. At intouch.org, you'll find messages of hope, biblical truth, and encouragement from Dr. Charles Stanley, available anytime you need it. Dive into devotionals, watch sermons, or explore resources that help you draw closer to God day by day. When you're ready to refocus your heart and renew your faith, visit intouch.org. It may be exactly what your soul needs today.
You love the summer in Chicago, but don't spend it painting. Do what Tom did. He called Rhino Shield.
So our house is a single-story brick built in 1986, and the paint was starting to look a little worn. I decided I needed to give Rhino Shield a call.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's better than paint.
The Rhino Shield crew was quite good, and the people that I worked with were top-notch. I basically came home 2 days after they started it, and it was done.
And Rhino Shield comes with a 25-year warranty and is formulated specifically for our unique climate here in Chicago. And right now, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
Even now, when we're riding together, we come home, we're like, man, that looks great. And we've had compliments from friends that have been over and looking at it, and it just really looks awesome.
This is a limited time offer, Chicago, so call now, 847-850-1132 or ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
No pain, go Rhino Shield.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
8:10, Team Hochberg traffic center time, Route 53. Roadwork delays northbound between the Ike and Kirchhoff. Solid on the Tri-State stop and go northbound Grand Avenue curve up to Balmoral. Roadwork delays on the Bishop Ford outbound 130th to 159th. Stevenson, an accident blocking 2 left lanes. It's on the outbound side at Central. You're backed up to Cicero. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Check the morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with a high of 80. Wednesday will be humid with times of clouds and sun, possibly experiencing a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, picking up on the Jason Arday story that we talked about week before last, the academic fraud who was retained by the University of Cambridge University across the pond there in the UK, and touted to be, the greatest living sociologist and sociology professor and head of the department. And most of his life, I shouldn't say his entire, but most of his life was completely invented. His personal narrative, as well as his scholarship, was rife with plagiarism and sort of, general quotidian claptrap. And after it broke and he resigned, while not admitting that he was the fraud that he was exposed to be, he subsequently took his own life. And so now the fallout has been, who's responsible for Jason Arday's suicide? Here we go again with personal responsibility as opposed to some sort of social rationalization where it's everybody's fault or a certain segment of the population's fault. Fundamentally, it's his fault. And to the extent there were contributors to his self-inflicted demise, it was those who knowingly or should have known, didn't want to admit. To borrow from Steven Pinker at Harvard, everybody knows it and nobody will say it, effectively. It was those individuals. The person who broke the story in his Substack was a PhD candidate at University of Ghent in Belgium, a guy named Nathan Kofnes. And now he has been suspended by the University of Ghent for being a whistleblower that legitimately uncovered or exposed an academic fraud. Writing the Wall Street Journal, Nathan Kofnes. Arday was hired to great fanfare in 2023 as the youngest black professor in the history of Cambridge University. I showed that he engaged in extensive plagiarism and had fabricated much of his extraordinary life story. His work that wasn't plagiarized was of such a low quality that it couldn't justify a position at any university, let alone a chair professorship at Cambridge. Within hours, my article exploded on social media, Substack. 3 days later, it was picked up by The Telegraph, then The Times of London, Retraction Watch, and all the rest. Finding every lie that Arday told since childhood became a national sport. British newspapers published 249 articles about him in a 22-day period. After initially dismissing Arday's critics as waging a, quote, vile campaign, Cambridge announced that it would investigate him. A few hours later, Arday resigned. And then on August 14th, about 10 days later, he was found dead of an apparent suicide. As Kofnes writes, Arday was an adult who was morally responsible for his actions, but he was mostly responding to the incentives that were created by other people. His punishment went far beyond what was justified by wrongdoing he may have committed. For me, the story was never about Arday or even Cambridge. It was about the system of DEI, the system, which applies different standards to people based on identity characteristics like skin color, Arday being an extreme example. He opposed, and by the way, Kofnes was immediately characterized by those who reflexively came to the defense of Arday, in part to hide their own malfeasance and identitarian blinders, as racist and this and that, controversial PhD student, and so on and so forth. He goes through this in a little bit more detail. Who was responsible? Start with the university. The Cambridge administration had been aware of Arday's plagiarism since at least 2023 when they were tipped off by another academic, Dave Harris. They also knew about his propensity for fabulation since at least last year when he falsely reported being attacked by a racist with a knife in his Cambridge office. They had years to find a way to let Arday down gently. Instead, they planned to cover up the scandal for 3 decades until his retirement. They set him up for humiliation. What about the press? 2/3 of the 249 articles about Arday were published after he resigned from his professorship, and the whole world already knew that he had lied and committed plagiarism. Then there's me, a former Cambridge philosophy fellow, and until Thursday, a postdoc at Ghent University, who wrote a single article pointing out the truth. I've been flooded with death threats, smeared in countless newspaper articles, accused of targeting Arday because I think that people like Kofnis simply don't believe that black people deserve to be professors at all, quote unquote. That's what one commentator said. Speaker after speaker at the vigil held for Arday in Trafalgar Square last week denounced me by name, including a prominent politician. Here was some of what was offered at that rally that he described, or vigil that he described. This is from, a Cambridge academic.
We're appalled by the public assassination of Jason Arday. The lynching. The lynching. We go back a long way.
The public assassination of Jason Arday. I mean, this is like talking to people who are, spiraling into delusion about the Lindsay Clancy case that we were just discussing. There's just no reasoning with these people. The public assassination of Jason Arday. He was exposed as an academic fraud. He did wrong. These are the things that he said and he wrote and he did, bumped up against the evidence, and he walked before he was pushed. I mean, from Cambridge, I'm talking about. And the guy who, exposed this, as he says, recounting the timeline, that people at Cambridge knew. But, as you've seen some comments, I'm sure you've seen them too from academics. Oh, everybody does this kind of stuff. I mean, the moral equivocations and contextualizations from these academics really telling about higher education. Many people, going back to Kofnis, many people have asked me if I regret writing the Arday expose. This is a tricky question to answer. I set off a series of events that led to death. If I say I have no regrets, it sounds like I don't appreciate the horrific nature of the outcome. If I say I do regret it, it sounds like I'm accepting moral responsibility for what happened. The lesson can't be that it's unacceptable to point out wrongdoing that implicates powerful public figures. That's what I did when I exposed fraud and institutional corruption at Cambridge. Now, for self-interested reasons, there's another case of corruption that I object to. The scapegoating of a whistleblower by powerful institutions that refuse to accept responsibility for their own actions. Yeah, well said. Carol in Moments. Hey, Carol.
Like some people just can't handle the truth. And I don't know when we're going to get back to maybe truth-telling, but I hope soon. That's it.
Thanks for the call, Carol. Bishop Robert Barron on the case. I mean, people from, across professions and disciplines, but who are real thinkers weighing in on this. Bishop Robert Barron, the tragic case of the young Cambridge professor has shed new light on the moral vacuity at the heart of wokeism. If I can state the matter abstractly, one should never place relative values in the center of one's ethical concern. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are values, but only, as the medievals would have said, secundum quid and not in se. That means they are worthwhile sometimes and under certain conditions, but not in and of themselves. In contrast, love and justice are absolute moral principles, for they're always applicable, no matter the circumstances. Wokeism relativized justice, rendering to each his due, and love, willing the true good of the other, and absolutized diversity, equity, and inclusion. The result is the moral shipwreck that we have been witnessing the last 10 years. What makes this even sadder is that lots of people have been profiting off this moral confusion. Yeah. Speaking of academic frauds, the Robin DiAngelos and the Ibram Kendis of the world. The New England Journal of Medicine, by contrast, Jason Arday and the Perils of Being Black in Academia. This is by a medical doctor named Kemi Dahl. They are trying to kill us. When black academics say this, I imagine folks outside of our community think we are being hyperbolic. We are not. And it goes on from there, which it's really not worth delving into, other than to say the New England Journal of Medicine, which lost most of its credibility for me during COVID, has found a new bottom, as these organizations and institutions do. Oh, and by the way, just to provide a little bit of a indication of the expanse of opinion here, I mean, the expanse of thought leaders who are opining in the direction of the truth. Richard Dawkins, famed atheist Richard Dawkins. I am bewildered and not very impressed by the visceral, naked, irrational hatred spat out by some defenders of Jason Arday. If a Cambridge professor accused of being an unqualified charlatan, the accusation might be racially motivated. On the other hand, it might not, depending on the evidence. The correct question is to ask, the correct question to ask is not what is the color of his skin, but, quote, is it in fact true that he is an unqualified charlatan? Please examine the evidence before leaping to the assumption of racism. Well, that's just a bridge too far for the academy in the West these days, isn't it? As for the idea that journalists piled on him and hounded him to his death, most attacks were against Cambridge University. Jason himself was widely regarded as an unfortunate victim of a foolish promotion way beyond his ability to cope. In appointing him to a professorship for which he was manifestly unqualified, in ludicrously describing him as, quote, the best in the world, unquote, I mentioned that, certain senior members of the university showed a level of patronizing condescension towards black people that could fairly be described as racism, while at the same time making him tragically vulnerable to such attacks that came his way. Yes. Now we're getting to it. Well, we've been getting to it, and a lot of people do get it. I don't know that it changes much in terms of the lessons that will be learned by the leftists in charge of the academy. In fact, I sincerely doubt it will. Jack in Northwest Indiana.
Good morning, Dan. So here's to the academy. There was a article, I think it could have been on the Saturday Wall Street Journal, but a reference that this incoming freshman class, as far as college goes, is the high point. Just based on birth rates will be dropping, and the number of kids that are even eligible to go going forward will continue to drop, and it's going to put a lot of pressure. That, as well as parents wondering why even go to college. And this is a prime example. This leaks out, and you start saying, I'm going to pay $100,000, $200,000 for this. It's a good thing. This whole expert class has been found out to be a fraud, and be very careful of where you send your kids, if at all.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Well, I mean, just in terms of what you're dealing with, which is why there won't be a reckoning. Gad Saad posted this. Gad Saad, the author of Suicidal Empathy and a professor of evolutionary behavioral science in up north in Mark Carney land. The proportion of registered Democrats versus Republicans among faculty at elite universities. Democrats, Harvard. Proportion. Excludes independents and non-registered or other party. Just Democrats versus Republicans. Democrats at Harvard, 99%. Princeton, 98%. Yale, 97%. Berkeley, 97%. Columbia, 96%. Brown, 96%. Johns Hopkins, 95%. Duke, 95%. Cornell, 95%. Caltech, 93%. Stanford, 91%. Dartmouth, 91%. Penn, 90%. UCLA, 89%. And so it's, the old question that I always ask when talking about this in the context of the D.C. press corps, but it's the same story here. Do you think that if those percentages were reversed, things would be different on college campuses? Mm-hmm.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
Back when the government was suppressing other forms of therapy for COVID and many doctors were being persecuted for stepping up, we felt the absolute necessity to act. That's why I developed Virago during the pandemic, to give people a powerful way to strengthen their immune system and fight back. Since then, feedback from users has shown us that Virago helps with so much more than what we originally anticipated, bringing relief and improvement to people dealing with allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases by supporting a healthy immune function. Join me Friday, August 28th at Sean Fest. Tune in or come by and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot, for a conversation you won't want to miss.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
Are your employee-free Hassleus showrooms some kind of big viral prank?
We simply let you try our selection of Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more without commission-crazy salespeople breathing down your neck.
Sure you do.
And through Monday, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of a select Sealy Posturepedic or Beautyrest mattress, plus free next-day delivery.
So shopping at Hassleus won't make me TikTok famous?
Absolutely not.
Darn.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Louis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
You've worked hard for everything you have, your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just a local addendum to the Jason Arday story. And we're going to get this guy on the show. Gino Young is the author of a book, Sex, Drugs, and Illiteracy. He taught at Hillsdale. He probably wishes he taught at Hillsdale. Hillcrest High School in Country Club Hill, south suburbs. Overwhelmingly a black student body. And Gino Young is a black gentleman.
And I can speak to this because I worked at Hillcrest High School, which is about 10 minutes from the Chicago city line. And that entire school tested at a 4th grade level across all the academics. I had a tenured teacher tell me that the entire school tested at approximately a 4th grade level. Now get this, the entire school though has an 81% graduation rate. So we're sending these unprepared children into the workforce. We're sending them into trades. We're sending them into colleges, and unfortunately they can't keep up, and now they're having to dumb down curriculum, and it's upsetting the entire education ecosystem in the classroom because it's not fair to those children who can keep up and who are astute enough to keep up with the coursework of that grade level. So it's a myriad of issues across the board.
No question about it, and it's unfair to the students who are there on the merits, but it's also unfair to students who have been promoted into a place that they can't thrive, in which they cannot thrive. The whole system, CPS, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but a lot of the suburban school districts too, the entire institution is an academic fraud. Perhaps something that a candidate, an enterprising candidate or two might want to address in the mayor's race. Anyway, coming up at 8:38, Emil Barr, co-founder of FlashPass, founder of Step Up Social, on young MAGA socialists. Oxymoron? That's at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Sunshine and 64 degrees. And our eyes are turning to firefighters in Nevada battling the fast-moving Hawk Fire northwest of Reno. Teresa Lenshin lives in the area and is being set to evacuate.
Oh my gosh, I'm still scared to death. It's like you don't know if the winds are going to shift and it's going to get worse, so you're just kind of, I got all my stuff in my car.
90,000 people in the Sierra and Washoe County area are being urged to flee their homes this morning. The U.S. prepping restrictive new sanctions on Iran.
The United States is set to unleash new economic sanctions against Iran to put new pressure on the regime in Tehran. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent wrote on Sunday, President Donald Trump and the overwhelming might of our military have significantly dismantled Iran's military capabilities and weakened its nuclear program. Now we are entering the end game. At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against any adversary. The economic pressure comes as the Iranian rial crossed $2 million to $1, a historic low for the country's currency.
Senator Chris Van Hollen has announced this morning that he's considering a 2028 White House run. On NBC, the Maryland Democrat says he is kicking the tires on a potential run for high office. Van Hollen adds he doesn't believe the Democrat Party has answered the call about how they'll make sure the economy works for working people. Shelley Fabre, an actor who was a fixture on television for decades, has passed away from her days on the Donna Reed Show through One Day at a Time and then on to Coach. Shelley Fabre was 82. But Chicago Bears fans remember her as Joy Piccolo, the wife of Bears running back Brian Piccolo, played by James Caan in the Brian's Song movie. Cubs obliterate the Mariners 19-2. They're in Arizona tonight while the White Sox walk off the Mets thanks to Tristan Peters and a solo home run. 2-1. The Southsiders host Texas tonight. The News is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees the president fulfilling a promise.
There is a dramatic decline in violent crime in America. He wants to make America great again, wants to make America prosperous again, wants to make America safe again. I've seen and been to enough rallies. That was in his DNA. He says it over and over again. Well, guess what? He's making America safer again. It's a fact.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louis found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louis has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louis.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee. Online at papanicholas.com.
Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Big problems on the Stevenson outbound. Right at Central, you're backed up to Western Avenue. You've got a rollover accident and a vehicle fire being dealt with right now. Emergency equipment on the scene. Not a good sight right now, and you're stacked up in traffic. Lakeshore Drive northbound hits the brakes at Bryn Mawr. Slow on I-88 between the Myers Toll and the Tri-State on the Reagan Toll Road. And an accident, 8094 westbound between I-65 and Chase. Traffic, a service of Staples. It's officially the most wonderful time of the year at Staples. And they've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech, 20% off for teachers, and more. Check out all the deals at staples.com/back-to-school. Staples, that was easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, checking your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Partly sunny with a high of 79.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Mary Julia Koch. She is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. She's also the daughter of the late billionaire David Koch. She's 25. Boy, David got started a little bit later in life, huh? Guess you can do that when you're a billionaire. Anyway, She is being pilloried online, Mary Julia Koch, the billionaireess, for this piece she filed on young men in the workforce, or more to the point, not in the workforce in America, and what to do about it. How did we get here? What to do about it? Take a listen.
Where did all the guys in the office go?
American women now hold 176,000 more payroll jobs than American men. That's a far cry from 3 decades ago when men held nearly 7 million more jobs than women. What changed? The largely male-dominated industries of manufacturing and construction have lost employment for decades due to automation and offshoring. Meanwhile, the healthcare industry, which is 78% female, is thriving. The male unemployment rate is actually relatively low right now, but the number of men who aren't even looking for a job has reached a nearly 20-year high. Gen Z men grew up witnessing the effects of the Great Recession and corporate America's push to bring more women into male-dominated fields. That left many of them feeling pessimistic about their own employment prospects. So for the guys who aren't working or even looking for work, what are they up to? Many are living at home. Some are even embracing the trend of being a stay-at-home boyfriend with a breadwinning girlfriend. This is all while more and more of life is happening through a screen. Social media, video gaming, sports betting, further isolating men from real life. But we can fix this. We can encourage more men to enter education, healthcare, and administration, just as women were encouraged to pursue careers in STEM. We could also expand vocational training and apprenticeships for men who are skipping college. It's time to bring a generation of young men back in from the sidelines.
I don't think it would be so offensive if her last name wasn't Koch, and yes, of those Kochs. But I mean, there's some things that she's missing. Some of the response online has been interesting because it is very much of the victimization approach to difficulty. So, yeah, there's no question the DEI push in corporate America has changed the opportunities for young men, particularly young white men, because of the race obsession that has permeated the culture, including in corporate America. But, you know, this, and by the same token, I think you have to look at this and say, yes, that this DEI is wrong, whether it's for college admissions or for hiring decisions. But, you know, Black Americans, in many respects, as Bob Woodson used to say, were at their best when America and white America was at its worst during things like Jim Crow. So these things are overcomable. Even if people are being wronged, people are always being wronged, even by group, because we're in this identitarian era, and people are clannish by sort of DNA. You have to really think through transcending non-behavioral characteristics like race and sex, and some people find that very difficult to do. So the larger question about young men out of the workforce, disaffected, and what that means to our politics, which is a perfect segue to our next guest. Emil Barr is the co-founder of FlashPass and the founder of Step Up Social. Great piece in the Wall Street Journal. The young MAGA socialists are here. Some jarring statistics. Emil Barr, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So I was surprised by this, and I'm obviously consuming a lot of this content on a daily basis, but 53% of self-identified conservatives under 40 support government-run grocery stores.
It's true.
And maybe what Mary Koch described in her piece is part of that reason. What's your explanation?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think I understand why young people are upset and turning to socialism, but I also think that it's very dangerous for this country. And I say that as a 23-year-old myself. As a whole, I think our generation needs to stop playing the victim and hoping that some big Uncle Sam steps in and makes all our problems go away. What I think we do really need to do a better job of is educating other young people on the benefits of capitalism. The truth is that capitalism is the best system we have to take people out of poverty. It makes people rich. It's not a perfect system, but it's the best system we have. History has proven that time and time again. It's why right now as Americans, we currently live in the richest country in the world, in the richest period of human history. But I think that the day that we start walking away from capitalism as our predominant political philosophy is actually the day that we give up on making the American dream a reality.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me, in this MAGA era of the last decade, and that's why I was interested that the title Young MAGA Socialists are here. What they've seen from their government and from President Trump is essentially a lot of rent-seeking behavior, where government is used to punish enemies and defend or promote friends, whether it's a particular economic cohort or social cohort. And it tends to get people to say, well, the federal government should do something about this, the way that the left is sort of inclined to do is, if there's a problem in the world, then government at every level needs to hop to it rather than government acting as a negative restraint. These are the rules of the game. We're not going to put our finger on the scale for anybody, and we're going to allow sort of the competitive environment to determine who is more successful than the other.
I mean, you totally hit the nail on the head, right? On the left, and this has been common on the left, this sort of victim mentality, the villain is usually because of the billionaires or some sort of corporation. But now on the right, we're seeing that the reason that you're not successful or you can't afford something you want is because of China or immigrants or Israel. And so that's a mentality we're starting to see on the right as well. And I actually think that's really dangerous. I think that, look, I myself started a company as a teenager and I became a decamillionaire by 20 with no prior business skills or family connections. But the problem is we've stopped telling those stories. Instead, what we do is we try to sort of vilify other people and sell Americans on the promise of a government that's more involved. And I don't think that's the right direction for this country.
Right. I mean, it needs to be, it seems to me, a full-throated defense of free enterprise, a real education that's not happening in the schools, which is a whole nother matter. And then also a recognition. Look, we have advanced some terrible public policy that has negatively impacted your lives. There's no question about it. For example, open borders, or maybe some trade deals that negatively impact a particular sector. So we can recognize and say we need better public policy in the area for, say, immigration, for example. But that doesn't give you an excuse. That doesn't legitimize your sort of throwing up your hands and blaming other people for your lot in life. You need to, be able to overcome obstacles and also work constructively for better public policy in the areas that, in the areas where there is agreement with other center-right, commonsensical people.
Yeah, look, let's talk about some facts, right? Which is, if you're not successful, the fact is it's not because of billionaires, but it's also not because of immigrants. The facts are, like, as a country, what worries me is we used to clap for the guy in the limousine.
Yeah.
Now we just complain and make TikToks about it. The truth is, it has literally never been easier, and the facts prove this, to become a millionaire. There were more self-made millionaires who didn't inherit their money in the last decade than they were in the entire last century. But the problem is that we don't tell that narrative, and now we're starting to go another direction. So I think that you're absolutely correct. We just can't blame other people for our lot in life. That's not capitalistic, and honestly, I would say that's not American.
Yeah, and again, to be reflective of the party to which I affiliate, I don't think the Republican Party and its leadership, its highest profile leadership, has really committed the time and intellectual capital to make the case, to relentlessly make the case the way that you have to in the face of so much lazy support for rent-seeking behavior or redistribution schemes. We celebrate the small business person, we celebrate the entrepreneurial success story, sort of one-off, but without the sort of the blocking and describing the blocking and tackling that is required, that is incumbent upon you, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or whether you want to be a cog in somebody else's wheel or somebody else's machine, I should say. Either are fine, but let's understand the sort of foundational principles we all should be operating from. And I worry that this is going to continue to trend away from us because you have sort of next generation populists like J.D. Vance who see the government as a force for good rather than as something that needs to be restrained, set the rules of the game, as I said, and let people compete on the same, within the same rules.
I think it really starts in the schools. When I was in high school, and this was only about 6-7 years ago when I started my business, we didn't learn about the entrepreneurs and the people that built this country and see them in a positive light. And I worry that that message is becoming less and less prevalent among young people. There's less and less of a celebration of free enterprise and entrepreneurship. And that's a big part of what inspired me to write my op-ed.
And so, it's one of those things that starts in the schools, and the strategy that needs to be cobbled together to actually, affect that, doing something in the schools. I mean, 50 million people in government 50 million kids in government K through 12 in the state, in the country. And it's like, sort of, where do we begin? Which state, which school district would approach? I mean, there are things out there like, Bob Woodson's pro-America curriculum that's being adopted in lots of schools. That's a good example of something that's happening. But to try to get that to scale, or let 1,000 flowers bloom along those lines and bring those to scale in different ways and different orientations where there are opportunities. But it seems to me an overarching strategy needs to be cobbled together the way that, say, the schools that Booker T. Washington did with the with the founder of Sears back in the day to educate black children in the South. That was an actual strategy that was executed. It seems like we need something like that today.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that we need to do a better job again of teaching young people about why capitalism is great. I think that you and I, because we're both students of history, and even though we're from different generations, we have that in common. We've studied history. We know that the only group of people that gets rich in a socialist government is the bureaucrats. Everyone else starves. But I worry that history repeats itself. And if we don't do a better, more proactive job of explaining why America is the richest country in the world and why our standard of living is better than pretty much anywhere else in the globe, I worry that that is going to get overshadowed by these false promises of socialism and the government's job to be to step in and solve your problems. And so I want to do my part in speaking up on behalf of capitalism and free enterprise.
Emil Barr, co-founder of FlashPass and founder of Step Up Social, the piece in the journal, The Young MAGA Socialists Are Here. Emil Barr, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Labor Day and the American labor movement were built on three fundamental principles: fair wages, reasonable hours, and big savings on Beautyrest at Hassellus Mattress. Or something like that. Now through Labor Day, Hassellus will give you a free adjustable base with the purchase of any Beautyrest mattress, including Beautyrest World Class and the ultra-luxury Beautyrest Black. If your current mattress has been laboring under you for the past decade, it deserves a much-needed retirement. Visit a Hassellus employee-free showroom and test your favorite mattress without commission-crazed salespeople hovering over you. Employee-free means way low prices. Others sell the Queen Beautyrest Premium World Class Thatcher K a mattress for $2,450, but Hassellus has it for just $1,788, plus a free adjustable base, plus an additional $200 off, plus free next day delivery, plus a $100 rewards cash card. Now through Labor Day at Hassellus Mattress. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Phil Silverman, CFO of Chicago Atlantic and a client of Signature. We provide capital solutions in markets where risk is often fundamentally mispriced and traditional financing can be limited. Ahead of an important and complex transaction closing, Signature promptly assisted us in addressing a wire issue through their monitoring and verbal verification process, helping us administer the closing on time while maintaining best-in-class control oversight. That kind of hands-on attention is hard to find, and that's why we value our relationship with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that. Specifically, Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency. And clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talk to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
You've worked hard for everything you have: your home, your investments, your real estate. When you're gone, someone has to manage it. Choosing the right trustee or executor is one of the most important decisions you'll make.
We kept putting it off. We figured our oldest would handle everything.
Then we thought, what if something happens to him?
Or what if the kids can't agree? We've seen money tear families apart.
We called Home State Bank, and I wish we'd done it sooner.
Home State Bank serves as trustee or executor for families across Northern Illinois, stepping in as the professional, impartial manager of your estate so your family doesn't have to carry that burden. They don't take sides, and they'll carry out your wishes exactly as you intended. Take the first step today by calling 815-459-2000 to meet with a trust officer face-to-face. Again, that's 815-459-2000. Home State Bank. Hometown professionals working together to build a stronger community since 1915.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Near the end of the Revolutionary War, George Washington received a letter from one of his own officers. Colonel Lewis Nicola suggested that America might be better served by a monarchy, with Washington himself as king. Washington firmly rejected the idea. He had spent years leading Americans in a fight for independence from a monarchy. He would not see that victory end with America creating a king of its own. He understood that the cause of the revolution was greater than any one man. His example reminds us that power can be offered, earned, or taken. But character determines whether we use it for ourselves or remain faithful to something greater.
AM 560, The Answer.
In the coming days and weeks ahead, we're going to have to develop this idea of modeling the Rosenwald schools into something for the present day. Anyway, thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Back with more wit and wisdom tomorrow. It's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
Experts rebuttal. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. The final prosecution rebuttal in the Massachusetts murder trial of nurse Lindsay Clancy after defense testimony that she was clearly psychotic when she murdered her 3 kids. Fox's Nate Foy in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
This trial has really become a battle of the experts, with 2 forensic psychiatrists drawing totally opposite conclusions from the same evidence about whether or not Lindsay Clancy knew the difference between right and wrong when she killed her 3 young children. On the stand today is Dr. Avram Mack. He's the prosecution's rebuttal witness, one of 3, and he's going to take the stand after testifying on Friday, saying that he does not believe that Clancy suffered from psychosis during the killings. Clancy's defense team argues that she did experience postpartum psychosis, and more than that, they argue that she was over-medicated and experienced command hallucinations.
A human-caused wildfire, the Hawk Fire, approaches Reno, Nevada. More than 40,000 evacuated. Fox's Rich Edson.
Crews are working to contain a fast-moving brush fire scorching parts of Reno, Nevada. The so-called Hawk Fire has burned more than 13,000 acres and injured at least 6 people since igniting Saturday. Officials say it was human-caused and are urging more than 90,000 people to evacuate. Several homes have already been destroyed and thousands are without power. The fire is still 0% contained.
Fox Weather's Britta Merwin on the conditions.
Wind gusts will be increasing later today, 20 to 30%
6% coming in from the southwest. That does buffer Reno from the smoke and the air quality concern, but unfortunately wind gusts like that will be a battle for the firefighters. Big ridge of high pressure just driving the heat, so that's part of the problem for Nevada, of course, is the deep, intense heat that we've had for the entire summer, drying out the fuels.
Tropical storm Moke, now a tropical depression south of Hawaii's Big Island. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago. Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly sunny and pleasant with a high of 78. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 59. Tomorrow is expected to be partly sunny and beautiful with